Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, we have no shortage of news on the desk. We are overwhelmed with news. We're going to start off with some of the things that are happening here in the country. We're going to check in on Trump supporters. You may recall a couple weeks ago, I warned you that it was Trump supporters now that are getting set up by their propaganda to get embarrassed during man-on-the-street interviews. So we have some more examples of that today. MAGA loved sharing CNN polls, including President Trump himself. They loved sharing CNN polls. But a new CNN poll might change their mind. I don't think I see them sharing this CNN poll that we have today. No, haven't seen anybody in MAGA share that one. Haven't seen Trump mention this poll. I bet you can take a guess. I bet you can take a guess which direction they're going now. And does this White House know anything about the Streisand effect? Apparently not. They are trying to have a picture of Caroline Leavitt removed from the internet. And of course now, everybody's probably seen this picture. They could have said nothing, and nobody would have known, nobody would have cared, but instead, they wanted to make a big public case out of it. And so now it's a picture that everybody gets to enjoy. So we'll take a look at that. And then we've got some other news out of the White House. We've got President Trump has now teased, or I guess his family, whoever came up with this first. It's glad to know. We're all just happy to see where Trump's head is at. They have unveiled their grand new plans for the Trump Presidential Library in Florida. Oh yes, it's like straight out of Biff Tannen in Back to the Future, and it will not disappoint as far as grandiose is concerned. And they even want to include a golden Trump statue, said to be about 50 feet tall. Who knows? Who knows where it's going to end up? They got renderings of the ballroom. They got renderings of the Trump Presidential Library. It's this giant Trump worship fest. It's this giant Trump cult now. And now results don't matter. Policy doesn't matter. Promises don't matter. None of it matters. It's just, how can we find a new way to praise President Trump? How can we find a new way to deify President Trump? And most average Americans now are just reaching crazy levels of sick of it. Then we have our geopolitical stack. We got some stuff out of the Netanyahu office. 2 statements from Netanyahu today. And then we're going to look at how Israel is responding as far as the actual citizens are concerned, the Israelis are concerned, how they're responding to Israel's aggression, which is now resulting in serious lifestyle changes, including family members dying. We also have a statement out of Iran today. Now, we told you this first when everybody else was reporting, oh, the NATO countries, the European allies, they'll all line up and back Trump up on this war in the Middle East. And what did we say right here? We said, don't bet on that. I wouldn't bet on that. And now we have multiple European countries stepping out and saying, no more. We will not be a part of this war at all. Some of them taking it even a step further, offering some pretty serious criticisms of Israel. Hey, don't forget there's another war going on, the Russia-Ukraine war. We got a statement from Zelensky today, as well as an update out of Russia. And then we might even get into some extracurriculars today with some drama in the NBA.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, guys, we got a brand new offer from My Patriot Food Supply today. My Patriot Supply at preparedwithowen.com is offering a 3-month emergency food kit plus a free mega protein kit. That's right. Everyone's focused on how the conflict in the Middle East is raising oil prices, but there's another grim reality to this war. Oil isn't the only resource being constrained. About 1/3 of the global fertilizer trade happens to go through this region. And with spring planting season on top of us, American farmers are sounding the alarm, with some saying they can't afford to plant their fields. When one piece of the supply chain gets hit this hard, you know what comes next. Higher food prices, reduced availability. Not good news. Maybe even panic buying. So what can you do? You got to have an emergency food supply at home. That's it. And that's where our friends at My Patriot Supply come in. Right now at preparewithowen.com, when you get a 3-month emergency food supply, they'll include a free mega protein upgrade, an incredible $200 bonus you don't want to miss. It's a simple way to protect your family from whatever comes next. Go to preparewithowen.com to get your emergency food supply today. That's preparewithowen.com, or you can scan that barcode on the screen, and that will take you right to the website to take advantage of this offer to my listening audience. Prepare with Owen, a 3-month emergency food supply kit plus a free mega protein kit upgrade.
Turn my system on.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Guys, I want to check in. Let's check in on Trump supporters here. We got a man on the street interview with a Trump supporter. Guys, let's see how it's going.
Like he did everything he said he was going to do when he did it.
What are some of those things that he said and then he did? He did just one thing. One thing he said and then he did.
He caught me off guard there. Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. Like
Oh.
he did everything.
Ugh. He doesn't know. I mean, I can give a one answer. He did secure the border, so we're told. I'm beginning to even wonder about that. No, it does seem the border is secure. I'm not sure if he could point to anything else. And well, you know what? Since we're on the subject, since we're checking in on Trump supporters today, we need to check in on them. You know, their mental health. It's not so good. The mental health status, not so good. So we're checking in. We're doing our due diligence. We're monitoring the situation. Let's check. They love CNN polls now. So let's check the most recent CNN poll. Let's see if they'll be sharing this.
Costs. Take a look here. Take a look at Donald Trump's overall net approval rating. This is the lowest of his term, the lowest of his second term. We're talking about minus 17 points, 17 points underwater. And unlike in Donald Trump's first term, in which he was negative basically throughout his entire term, Trump actually started off in positive territory here in his second term, but now he's at the lowest point of his second term. But there's an even bigger comparison to be made, okay? So obviously Trump was elected once back in 2016, then he took a 4-year break, and then, of course, he's serving his second term, and it's his second presidency. So I went back and I looked at all of the presidents at this point in a presidency, all of them. All of them at this point in the presidency. And guess what? Donald Trump is the lowest ever at this point in a presidency. Lower than Joe Biden, lower than Jimmy Carter, lower than Ronald Reagan. He's lower than all of them. All of them at this point in a presidency. You know, you can make any sort of swimming comparison you want. Maybe you want to make a comparison with a diver like Greg Louganis. Maybe you want to make a swimming comparison, Michael Phelps. Maybe if you're me, like an old Jewish soul, you want to make a comparison with Mark Spitz. Either way, he is very much.
Wow. Yikes. Lowest approval rating at this point of any presidency ever? Well, we know Trump and MAGA love CNN polls now, so will they be sharing this one? Will they be citing this poll that doesn't support their narrative, or no? Is that going to be a no? No. I didn't think so. And so there's a theme here. There's a theme here for, let's say, our opening monologue. And I'm noticing it. It's very widespread, by the way. So you've got the Trump supporters now that are essentially as stuck in the mud as liberals were in 2015 and 2016, when you would ask them basic questions about their political viewpoints. They couldn't really do it. And you could even say that lasted through 2024. I mean, you could make the argument that status of liberals basically being stuck in the mud as far as responses to basic political inquiries, you could say that they lasted about a decade in that realm. They have finally, I think, moved on, at least to some degree. But now it's Trump supporters. Now it's Trump supporters that have been set up by their propaganda. Now it's Trump supporters that are stuck in the mud as far as answering these questions is concerned. And we called it. We called it. Really, we need to probably have like an archivist or a Never Doubt Me segment when we play this stuff from weeks or months ago. And I said, get ready now. This is the Trump supporter. They're going to be like the liberal of 10 years ago when you try to ask them basic questions in a man-on-the-street style interview, like I used to do, the own the libs or destroy them with facts, that whole genre. Now it only goes one direction. Now it only goes towards Trump supporters. They're the ones that get stuck holding this bag, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to answer basic questions. And it's this total denial of reality. And maybe throw the CNN poll in there, too. That's kind of just an anecdote to show you how selective Trump supporters are with what they want to show you and what they don't, and then they can't answer the question. But here's the purpose of this brief. It's going to be another brief monologue today. We got too much news for me to go on too long here. Here's what I'm noticing. And you might say that this story that broke yesterday, we do have some of it in the news today. I'm not going to get too much into it. But a Daily Mail story from yesterday talking about how in the Tyler Robinson case, the Charlie Kirk assassination case, how they cannot match the bullet to the gun. And so that's a fact, by the way. That is a fact. So the Daily Mail headline, Kirk assassination case, they cannot match the bullet to the gun, which is a fact. So you had this weird outburst and you had this weird outrage on social media in response to this. And I might have had something to do with it. I just happen to have a pretty good following on my X account, so I'm able to get some viral stuff on there pretty regularly. So I was one of the first to post that headline, and my caption was simply, "No shit." That's it. And I didn't really think it was that controversial because I thought to people that had been following the case including official narrative believers, I thought this was already kind of a known factor, because otherwise we couldn't make sense of it. Why would a 30-odd 6 not have an exit wound? Now, I'm not trying to go down the whole story again, just to be clear here. So don't start ranting and raving that I'm not covering these details. That's not the purpose here. I thought it was a known factor. How do you explain a 30-odd 6 not having an exit wound? And the story was the bullet broke apart inside, and Charlie was Superman, is what they said. He was Superman, and because of his Superman physique or his Superman bones, the bullet didn't create an exit wound. So, okay, and then we kind of get mixed messaging on as far as, well, what do we know about the bullet? And essentially, we don't know anything. It's maybe some fragments is what we knew. So they come out. Now keep this in mind, though, because I want to make sure that you're prepared here. The FBI is claiming that they're still doing a ballistics investigation. Now, if you're somebody that's doubting the official narrative, or you're somebody that is, let's say, extremely skeptical of the official narrative, maybe you still don't trust the FBI for good reason. You might look at that and say, well, this is suspicious then. Is the FBI going to come out and make a claim to try to save this case if it ends up being that damaging as far as the actual evidence is concerned? But let me get back to the point. So I just say no shit in response to that headline, because I thought this was understood that, yeah, they cannot trace the bullet to the gun. I thought this was well understood. I didn't think that was some controversy. But see, when you go through this process, you start to get a better understanding of the psychology around it and why the response is so nonsensical. And that's why psychology, I think, right now is such an important thing to understand when we're dealing with these developing news stories and current events. Because so many people's response and inconsistencies, you fail to understand. You look at it and you shake your head. Well, you have to understand the psychology behind it. So, okay. Why are these people freaking out? Why are they so mad at this headline, which is factual? This is what's so odd about it. So I get attacked. I've got relentless attacks coming my way because I shared the story and said no shit, which I thought everybody was in agreement on that. I didn't even think that was controversial, but I realized some people are not in agreement with facts. They're not even interested in facts, actually. They're just interested in their opinions, and they somehow conflate opinion with fact and then reach a conclusion off of an opinion that's not based in fact. So I'm getting attacked here, and they're saying, wow, how deceptive of you, how wrong of you. This headline isn't accurate, and all these different attacks. And I just simply have one question, because it's really just a yes or no question. And it exposes, this is just like the Trump supporters on the streets now, sitting there holding their bag, and they can't answer a question. We're now in the same, and it's all psychology, we're in the same avenue now dealing with this Tyler Robinson story. It's a simple question. Can they trace the bullet to the gun? And the answer is no. That's the answer. The answer isn't yes. The answer is no. So what are you so upset about? I don't understand. What is it these people are so outraged about from this story? Why are these people, I guess they're official narrative believers, and maybe this is hurting their opinion. Maybe this is hurting what they thought they believed. Maybe this is giving credence to Candace Owens or proving other people right that doubted the official narrative. Again, I thought this was all understood. But so they attack me. They say this headline is inaccurate. The headline claims that they cannot trace the bullet to the gun. Is that true or false? That is true. Now, you might not like the way the headline was written, or maybe you're taking this a little personally. Just maybe you're taking this story, this headline a little personally because you didn't do the research and you just assumed things and you landed on an opinion that wasn't based in fact, and now new facts are developing, and that might make you question your own opinion. But instead of doing that, you just reject the facts as they lie. So it's very simple. It's very simple. And again, I'm not even saying this reaches any conclusion. This might not change your opinion. This might change your opinion. This might not change your opinion. This might affect the outcome of the case. This might not affect the outcome of the case. But okay, we start to get a little more sense of it here. Did Charlie get shot with a 30-06? Well, there's no exit wound, so probably not. But that's still the official narrative. Okay, well, why wasn't there an exit wound? Oh, well, it broke apart inside of his body. Oh, okay, well, if the bullet shattered inside of his body, then you're probably not going to be able to trace it back to the gun. That could be a problem. By the way, two of the biggest political assassinations in the history of this country, Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King, both shot with a 30-06 that apparently shattered upon entry. The only times ever that we know of in human history where a 30-06 has shattered inside of a human body on impact. Only times ever. I guess that's just a coincidence. But the one difference would be that King did have an exit wound. So Charlie would be one of one. There has never been a case with a 30-06 shattering upon entry and not having an exit wound. Only Charlie Kirk. But they say he had Superman bones, and they say he was essentially Superman. We'll see how that holds up in court if the defense wants to go there. I don't know. We'll see what goes on in court. But the fact remains, they cannot trace the bullet to the gun, at least not yet. We'll see. The FBI might come out and say something differently, because I think the FBI is embarrassed right now. I think the FBI is losing the narrative badly right now. I think they're losing trust right now when it was supposed to be restored in this administration. So they might want to come out and try to save face and claim that they can trace the bullet to the gun. We'll see. We'll see. Now, again, does this change your opinion? They cannot trace the bullet to the gun. Most people kind of already assumed that was going to be the case. Now we know. Does that change your opinion? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. That's still the fact. Will this change the outcome of the case? I don't know. There's a lot of other questions as far as this case is concerned. But I would just put it like this. And again, this will be my final statement here for the opening monologue. I would just put it like this. And I don't really think this is opinion. I suppose you could call this an opinion, but it's kind of a universal one when it comes to court and legal cases. If you can't trace the bullet to the gun that's apparently the weapon used, that's a pretty big missing link. Let's just be honest. That's a big missing link. Now, like I said, that might not change the case. That might not change the conclusion. But the fact remains. They can't trace the bullet to the gun. That's a pretty big missing point of evidence right there. I would say that's pretty significant. Right? How could you argue that's not significant? If you are trying to pin this on the guy that shot the gun, and that's what you claim, but you can't even pin the guy to the gun, and now you can't even pin the gun to the death. How can you say that's insignificant? Again, will it impact the case? I don't know. We'll see. But there are, now they're saying who knows the real number. At one point, they said there were 5 types of DNA on the gun, including Tyler Robinson's. They said 5 types of DNA on the gun. There could be a perfectly reasonable explanation for this. Now they're just saying there's multiple DNA samples on the gun, but now they can't even trace the bullet to the gun. Folks, these are huge holes. These are huge holes. You can still have your opinion. You can still believe that Tyler Robinson did it. And maybe the prosecution will prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's something, there's a psychological thing happening here. There's a lack of honesty factor happening here. And to me, I see fear. To me, I see uncertainty. But instead of just accepting that for what it is and saying, maybe I have a different opinion now, or maybe I could be wrong, but I still believe this. No, there's this weird outrage. There's this weird backlash. There's this weird, I'm going to attack anybody that doesn't believe the official narrative. And I can't help but sit back and say, gee, this is way too familiar. This is way too familiar of people that didn't believe that the COVID virus came from a bat soup. Oh, remember they said it came from a lab and they were attacked and ridiculed and scorned, and then they were right. Oh, we said, hey, wearing a mask does nothing. We were attacked, ridiculed, and scorned, and then we were right. We said, hey, these vaccines are not safe or effective. We were attacked. And then we were proven right. Now, I'm not saying this is going that direction. I'm just saying in the real feel of it right now, it has the same feel. Like you're not even allowed to question it. You're not even allowed to doubt your government now. Well, excuse me. What happened to MAGA? You guys love the government now. You guys trust the government now. And even though there are huge holes in this case as far as the evidence is concerned, massive holes, you don't care. And you're going to attack the people that question everything. You're going to attack the people that are exposing these holes, no pun intended, instead of simply saying, okay, well, we have a different opinion. Here's why I reached mine. There's why you reached yours. And we've got an ongoing case, an ongoing investigation. So I guess we'll see what happens. It's very intriguing. It's very important. But no. How dare you say they can't trace the bullet to the gun? Well, can they? No. No, they can't. So I just don't get it. And again, I don't want to go down this whole line of, well, where's the video of him getting on the roof? Where's the video of him shooting the gun? All of this different stuff. What I don't understand, there's always going to be people that have a different opinion and want to debate you about yours. What I don't understand is this weird defense mechanism that is kicking in when people just don't buy the official story all in. That's what I don't understand. And to me, when I see that, I have to go back and I have to look at history and I have to say, when did this happen before? And what is the human psychology behind it? And we have seen this before, and we do know the psychology behind it. There's a fear. And there is an unwarranted trust in a corrupt system, a corrupt government, full of liars and con artists that have lied to us about stuff like this, quite literally assassinations, for years, for decades. They put lies in the history books, but you're the bad guy for doubting it? You're the bad guy for doubting the liars? You're the bad guy for following the facts of the case and then reaching your own opinion on the matter? I don't get it. And the only thing I can conclude from watching this is that this new MAGA cult, because most of it is coming from that. It's not a blanket statement. But most of it is like this new brainwashed MAGA cult that can't handle political disagreements now. And they are acting as the woke left did when we used to disagree with them on issues. Now they act like the woke left when we disagree with them on issues. And that just tells me they're not very confident where they lie on their opinions. They're not very confident on where they lie on their conclusions. And that's why they're so freaked out that this major piece of evidence isn't landing. If you're an official narrative believer, that's fine. If you believe Tyler Robinson did it, then that's your prerogative. But don't sit here and tell me that you can't trace the bullet to the gun that was allegedly the murder weapon, and you can't even pin the bullet to the gun. Don't tell me that's a minor story. Don't tell me that's not a huge missing element to reach a conclusion on this case. That's just outrageous. It might not change your opinion, and it might not change the opinion or the outcome of the case. But don't sit here and insult my intelligence. Don't sit here and try to bully us because we have a different opinion. Say, oh, well, you're siding with the defense. No, I'm siding with, I want to know the truth. I'm siding with, I want a transparent investigation. And we haven't gotten that from the FBI. We haven't gotten that at all from the FBI. And everything they're telling us doesn't add up. So I'm sorry if I find it a little odd that we are being attacked now. And it's just like, what happened to MAGA? What happened to these anti-establishment, we don't trust the lying government types that was once the embodiment of MAGA? Now they just suck up the government slop and they get angry at you when you don't. So very odd to me watching these developments yesterday, because they're just not based in reality anymore. MAGA is no longer based in reality anymore. You want to support Trump? That's fine. You give Trump an A for the administration? You think Trump's doing a great job his second term? All right, I disagree. That's fine. But don't sit here and pretend like there aren't legitimate concerns. Don't sit here and ignore basic facts that go against your worldview because it's inconvenient and embarrasses you a little bit. We're not going to be putting up with that here. And by the way, you know how I operate. All of the people that came for me yesterday for that post were invited on the show, and none of them decided to come on. I said, you can come on this show and defend your stance. They call me retarded and everything else. I said, you can come on my show and explain in front of my audience, embarrass me in front of my audience, explain in front of my audience how I'm retarded, and explain in front of my audience how, because they can't trace the bullet to the gun, that is not a big story, or that somehow that's not even the facts, even though that's exactly what the fact is. None of them took the offer. All of them went silent after the offer was made, in fact, and weren't interested in talking to me again. Isn't that ironic? So that gives you a pretty good idea where this whole new MAGA world is. And that's why they can't answer basic questions during Man on the Streets. That's why they can't do political debates on their stance. That's why they don't want to share with you now the CNN poll that shows you Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president during this time in their presidency. And now the whole thing is so odd now, and we will get into our news now. The whole thing is so odd now. Like, what even is this? The White House is trying to get this picture of Caroline Leavitt removed from the internet. The White House picture police of the many images captured months ago during a Thanksgiving briefing, one of Caroline Leavitt incensed the White House, resulting in a remarkable chain of events that led to its removal from photo wires. Let's see if, did Oliver Darcy have the cojones to share the story here? Yeah, there it is. The image, rather. So this is the image. I don't even understand what the problem here is. So clearly the photographer is, trying to get a shot of the turkey, and Caroline and her son did that, did a good job. What is the issue with this image? I can only think my assumption is, knowing how superficial this administration is, knowing how vain this administration is, my only assumption is that it's the Caroline Leavitt double chin is what they're upset about. I don't know what else it would be. The other option, I suppose, could be that she doesn't want her son in pictures, but she's the one that carries him around the White House and in front of the media, so I don't think that's a fair conclusion to reach. So Caroline Leavitt is upset at this picture because what? She has a double chin? I don't think anybody's really accusing Caroline Leavitt of being fat. I think from any angle, any one or two or three angles, they might not be too flattering of any individual, no matter how fit they are, no matter how attractive they are. So they're scrambling around, which I don't even know. I got to tell you, because I'm somebody that ends up on these photo wires too, by the way. You've probably seen them. They have their watermarks on them. So you might be at a big event or whatever. Somebody snaps some photos of you. They upload them onto these photo wires. Just so you understand how strict this stuff is, I've had this happen where I'll be on one of these photo wire sites. It'll be an image I want, and they either will not give me the image or they'll force me to pay for the image. It's an image of me. It's a picture of me, and I either can't get access or I have to pay for it. Now, I'm not the president of the United States or the White House. They might have a little more pull than me. But how are they doing this? Are they going around all these photo wires, finding every image where every image of Leavitt is being published and what? Asking them to take it down? I've never even seen this image. This is from Thanksgiving. I've never even seen this image that I can recall. Now it's going to be forever burned in my head because the White House is trying to get it removed from the internet. What, because Caroline Leavitt has a little double chin going on here? She looks fine. She actually, I might even argue she looks better in this picture than she does now with all the Botox and whatever the hell else is going on with the lips that go boom, boom, boom. Caroline, this is a nice picture, actually. This is a nice picture with your son and a turkey on Thanksgiving in the White House. Kind of a serious picture, actually. Kind of like that's the kind of picture you keep forever. And they want it erased off the internet because you're afraid of a little double chin? Is that where we're at? Is that where this administration is at? I think it is, actually. I think this is where the administration is at, and I think it's pathetic. Well, this is a non-story. Who cares? Oh, I agree. I agree. Some picture of Caroline Leavitt is a non-story. The story is this is what is on their mind. The story is this is what the White House is engaging in. This is the most vain, superficial White House ever. All they're thinking about is image. All they're thinking about is fame and fortune. That's it. They're running around trying to get an image of Caroline Leavitt scrubbed off the internet. What are we doing? Does anybody in this administration care about anything anymore? Is it all about looks now? Is it all about vanity now? Is it all about fame and fortune now? Do we even care about anything anymore? Is it all about you guys? Is that what this is? Is this just a reality TV show for you guys? Is that how you view it? I know that's how Trump views it now. And I got into the psychology of Trump yesterday. But is that the story? Is that why this White House has become such a joke? Is that why this White House has become so unserious? Because it's just a TV show now? It's kind of what it feels like. And then you had Caroline Jean-Pierre. She hasn't officially changed the name yet. Then you had Caroline Jean-Pierre say this. This one went over well.
You said yesterday, and I quote him, God does not listen to the prayer of those who wage war. Can you comment on that?
I think our nation was a nation founded 250 years ago almost on Judeo-Christian values, and we've seen...
So I want you to really understand how obscene this response is from Caroline Leavitt. How absolutely obscene. The question was about the Pope talking about nations that are waging war. So, okay, we're upset with the Pope for calling for peace now? Hey, look, the Pope is always going to get criticism. I happen to like Pope Leo, my favorite Pope since John Paul II. Oh, the Pope is anti-war? The Pope is for peace? Like, of course he is. Why? Duh. But Caroline Leavitt, she can't even, this is how warmongering the administration is, by the way. This is how warmongered out and how bloodlusting, you might even say now, that the administration is. So Caroline Leavitt is asked about war, and what is her response? Oh, we're Judeo-Christian values. I'm sorry. So what does that mean? So what part of war is Christian? What part of war is Jewish? What are we exactly saying here? What part of the Judeo-Christian values are us being at war 24/7? What part of Judeo-Christian values are us blowing up a girls' school and killing hundreds of children? Is that the Christian values? Is that the Judeo values? What exactly are we talking about here? So Caroline Leavitt, hey, the Pope is calling for peace. What is the White House response? We're a country founded on Judeo-Christian values. Well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with this administration that just lied to the entire world about no regime change war in Iran specifically? What does this have to do with Judeo-Christian values? Because it sounds to me, if I was ignorant, if I didn't know any better, and I'm taking what you say at face value, it sounds to me like you're saying Judeo-Christian values are war 24/7. Judeo-Christian values is America being at war 24/7 all the time and killing innocent children. Now, certainly that's not what Caroline Leavitt wants to say, and yet here she is. That was her response to the question. And, of course, everyone else is sick of this Judeo-Christian value nonsense. By the way, look at this community note on X. Thomas Jefferson called Judaism a bloodthirsty, cruel, and remorseless religion whose God was vindictive, capricious, and unjust. He disliked how they punished children for the sins of the fathers. He found no utility in a religion that didn't believe in an afterlife. That's from the Jewish Virtual Library, their Thomas Jefferson section. So Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers who wrote the Declaration of Independence, no, Caroline, there was no Judeo-Christian founding of the United States of America. It doesn't exist. You guys are running propaganda for your Israeli donors. You guys are running war propaganda for your Zionist donors. That's what you're doing here. It's disgusting. And you continue to sink lower by the day. Caroline Jean-Pierre. Well, maybe the White House can recover. I know what they need. They need another podcast. So now Usha Vance is going to be doing a podcast. This is turning into such a grift. Second Lady Usha Vance announces story time with the Second Lady, podcast to promote child literacy. Why does she need a podcast for that? Can't she just go around teaching kids to read? No, everybody's got to get a podcast. Stephen Miller's wife has a podcast, which I'll give her credit. She does a decent job on those interviews. I'll give her credit. And maybe Usha can do a good job too. But it's just this giant grift now. And I almost feel like they are, and this is a little conspiratorial, but it just feels like they're trying to force their way into the digital media real estate here to try to take away other voices. And of course, you know, you're in the White House, you're going to have some leverage, whether you're Katie Miller or Usha Vance, you know, you're going to get some leverage, you're going to get some of that White House boost, you're going to get some of that clout. There's no denying that. So at what point do we consider this a grift versus, oh, Usha's always wanted to do a podcast on child literacy, or Katie Miller's always wanted to do a podcast, long form interview style on interesting people? Or is this, hey, I'm in the White House, I'm rich now, I don't need to take care of my kids, I can just hire help to do that, my husband is working in the White House, I think I'll just do a podcast. Melania's not doing a podcast. I guess she did a movie. It's just more vanity. It's more vanity. It's more attention seeking. Where is the grace? Where is the class? Where is the subtlety? This thing is out of control, man. This White House is out of control. It's just a reality TV show now, and not even a good one. Well, I guess I could take that back. I mean, it's controversial. It draws you in. It's entertaining. I guess I'd have to sacrifice that. As far as this new White House TV show, but as far as actually leading the country, no, ain't happening. This White House is not as concerned about leading America to the promised land. This White House is not as concerned about MAGA or America First, or you name it. They're not as concerned about that. This White House is all about fame and fortune. This White House is all about vanity. This White House is all about attention. It's one giant TV show. And if there's any political movements at all, if there's any political commitments at all from this White House that they're willing to actually get dirty on, it's all for Israel. That's the only thing this White House seems committed to, is whatever Israel needs, we will deliver. The American farmers, nothing. We'll just give you only farmers and pretend like we did something for you. They're getting crushed. The average American living paycheck to paycheck, with the cost of living and the producer price index on the rise, now inflation on the rise, they ain't doing nothing for you. Sorry, we got to go to war for Israel. Your gas prices are going up, and who knows, we might send your sons and daughters to fight and die for Israel too. Oh, you wanted those Doge cuts? Ain't happening. You wanted that Doge stimulus check? Not going to happen. You wanted that tariff check? Not coming. You wanted those tax cuts? You might get you're saving a couple $100 a year, but don't worry. That's nothing compared to the price for fuel that you're paying now, the cost of energy and groceries and everything else that's skyrocketing. So really, even the tax cuts, they're not doing anything for you. You're not getting any better financially. Not with this administration. No new wars. No, we got a brand new regime change war for you. And who knows? Who knows? This thing could get even bigger. Who knows how long it's going to go? Mass deportations, get them all out. Sorry, can't do that. Can't do that. The donor class needs their cheap labor. So another giant middle finger to you, American. Another big fat middle finger reminding you where you stand. But don't worry, it's all lights, camera, action. Oh, glyphosates, you guys need coverage? Yeah, keep spraying the chemicals on the food and the water. We don't care about that. But you promised that you would stop it. Yeah, who cares? We don't give a damn about you. What promise? The only thing promised here is that land to Israel 3,000 years ago. And by the way, it just so happens that land is actually the whole planet now. So they're going to be bombing you next. I hope you have a nuclear bunker. Oh, you can't afford one? Too bad. You should have gotten your Trump account. Oh, the Trump account is actually in the minus now because the stock market is down? Oh, well. Tough for you. Good luck. Oh, and they want to, we're talking about fraud. And, they build up Nick Shirley now. He's the big hero, Nick Shirley here. They're going to send him to Congress, send him to the White House. He's doing all this incredible work with fraud. And he's posting about how the administration is fighting fraud. Yet they got rid of Elon Musk. They shut down Doge. They didn't do any arrests as far as the fraud, waste, and abuse from Doge. They just shut that down. Trump has pardoned 88 fraudsters worth over $1 billion in fraud. I don't know the final number. It's billions. It's in the billions. And the money that they still owed the victims, none of that's even getting paid. And now Trump is going to put J.D. Vance in charge of the Fraud Commission, and we're going to promote Nick Shirley's work fighting fraud. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has pardoned more fraudsters than probably every other president in the history of this country combined. I doubt it's even close. Another total farce. And see, and this gets back to the opening monologue. These people don't live in reality. Trump is fighting a fraud. Trump is the fraud-fighting president. You're delusional. Trump has pardoned more fraudsters than every other president in this country's history combined. They owe over $1 billion in fraud and to the victims of the fraud, many of which are us, the taxpayers. Well, Trump's cracking down on the fraud. Trump's getting rid of the fraudsters. No, he's not. He's pardoning them. You fool. And I guess this is why Trump treats them that way, because they are dumb. Trump treats you like idiots. Trump treats you like fools because that's what you act like. I can't even imagine. What do you think goes on here? What do you think goes on in the White House? Hey, did you see? They're calling Trump the fraud-fighting president, and they're all laughing hysterically as he's cutting another pardon for a fraudster. It's like it's all a big joke. It's all a big joke. And then you have this new brainwashed MAGA cult. It's like you stand up and you say, hey, guys, actually, Trump has been pardoning fraudsters. Quite a bit of them, including some of the biggest fraudsters in the history of this country. Trump has pardoned them. Many of them are actually committing crimes again, by the way. Oh, how dare you, panicking? Oh, you're a liberal now. Oh, you're fake MAGA. You don't live in reality. You're not interested in reality. You're a complete fool, and that's why Trump treats you like a fool. You act like a chump, you get treated like a chump. And the problem is the rest of us in that process get chumped too, and we're sick of being chumped. And that's why there's so much tension in this MAGA infighting, because now we're all getting chumped because of this MAGA cult. So now we're all getting chumped. Now we're all getting high gas prices, higher grocery prices, everything. We're all watching the fraudsters get pardoned left and right as they say they're fighting fraud. We're not getting the mass deportations. We're not saving the economy. None of this is happening. You're getting a ballroom, which is so applicable, because that's all these people want to do is wash Trump's balls. The people Trump pardoned are on a crime spree. Yeah. By the way, some of the corruption continues to seep out here. Pete Hegseth's broker looked to buy defense fund before Iran attack. So it looked like you had some insider trading on this end of the spectrum. You had somebody in Israel get busted for making a bet on the prediction markets before the strikes. They won some good money on that. So it's all just corruption. And they get away with it. You know? I mean, it's like to a certain degree, you can't even blame them. You know? You look at all the people that are just obsessed with defending Israel. So here's Israel bombing 7 countries, killing hundreds of thousands of people. They just destroyed, a mass part, like all of southern Lebanon. Israel just bombed and destroyed, just a total massacre. And then what do they see? They see all their supporters saying how great they are and how peaceful they are and how they're never in the wrong. So they're looking like, oh my God, we just killed 100,000 people. We just destroyed multiple civilizations. We're on a bombing, killing spree, and they're cheering us on. Guess we'll keep going. Same with President Trump. It's like, hey, I just pardoned all these fraudsters. They claim I'm fighting fraud. This is amazing. Oh, but don't worry. You're going to have a nice big golden Trump statue. Trump's skyscraper presidential library looms over Miami in newly released images. Yeah, we'll see. The renderings feature the Boeing luxury aircraft that Qatar gifted to Trump. I don't know where that's coming from. The foundation overseeing the construction of President Donald Trump's presidential library has revealed the first renderings of the precedent-shattering project, a towering skyscraper in downtown Miami. In the renderings, there was about a 50-foot golden statue of Trump, by the way. I got to say, the building actually looks nice. It does look like these renderings actually look like a pretty nice skyscraper there. Looks like a beautiful building they're planning on building. But no, this is all just another worship Trump ceremony. This is all just more brainwashed cult following of Trump. It's the vanity administration. It's like, oh, you can get a ballroom. Oh, yeah, we're going to build a giant skyscraper. I mean, folks, this is North Korea-esque. I mean, Trump has essentially become a communist dictator. Maybe minus the communism, you might say. But Trump is basically just a glorified tyrant at this point. Building monuments to himself, putting his name on the currency, putting his name on all. He has watches, he has shoes, he's got the Trump accounts. It's just on and on and on. Trump this, Trump that. It's all just Trump everything. This is just turned into the Trump TV show. This isn't about America. This isn't about the average American, their struggles. This isn't about the issues our country is facing. Domestically, here's what you get domestically from this administration. Trump TV, Trump brand everything, Trump worship. And then as far as foreign policy is concerned, anything for Israel. That's it. And that actually kind of gets across our borders too. And then they'll go after anybody for quote unquote anti-Semitism or boycotting Israel. That's all you get. You get Trump TV and you get Israel. That's what this administration is. But hey, Ron DeSantis, I think he's running. DeSantis, Florida airport getting named after Trump. What to know about future DJT airport? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed legislation yesterday to rename Palm Beach International Airport to the President Donald J. Trump International Airport. Smart move by DeSantis. DeSantis is running. I think that means DeSantis is running. And he knows, I better butter Trump's bread here. I better butter Trump's bread so maybe I can get an endorsement. I know. I'll rename an airport after Trump. Then he'll maybe endorse me. Smart move, DeSantis. Yeah. Yeah, you want to get a little favor from Trump? Just open your mouth and, start sucking. So DeSantis is in on it now. He's getting himself a little suck there. This is crazy. Citing First Amendment, federal judge blocks Trump order to end funding for NPR and PBS. Judge Randolph Moss ruled that President Trump's executive order to cease funding for NPR and PBS is unlawful and unenforceable. Folks, this is outrageous. Let's go to the actual court document here. Citing the First Amendment, the judges, but the First Amendment draws a line which the government may not cross at efforts to use government power, including the power of the purse, to punish or suppress disfavored expression by others. This is outrageous from this judge. This is beyond outrageous from this judge. And notice, I haven't heard anything from Trump on this. I haven't heard anything from the administration. I haven't heard anything from the White House on this. This is outrageous. Instead, Trump is lashing out at European countries that don't want to fight Israel's war. Literally, that's what Trump is doing today. He's lashing out at European countries that don't want to fight Israel's war, and he's celebrating a golden monument that's going to be built for him in Florida. Do you understand the precedent of what this judge has ruled here? And then the statement in the court case, he says, oh, well, the government can't express, they can't use the power of the purse to disenfranchise certain opinions. What are you talking about? They pay for it. We literally fund NPR and PBS, and all we're saying is we're cutting the funding. They don't have to shut down. If they want to get private funding, they're more than welcome to get private funding. If they can find private donors or sell ad space, however they want to stay on the air, or they can do it for free. Nobody's shutting them down. We, the people, the taxpayers, and as a mandate from this administration, given to this administration by the taxpayers, they are defunding NPR and PBS. And a judge says no, that it's the First Amendment, that they get to take our money. Do you understand the precedent of this, folks? Trump should be up in arms about this. The administration should be enraged at this ruling. Instead of lashing out at European countries for having their own foreign policy, Trump should be lashing out at this judge for the precedent that he just created. So essentially, this judge is saying it is your taxpayer duty to fund NPR and PBS. Now, you can talk about the direction of these networks, certainly not pro-Trump, but they could be pro-Trump, they could be anti-Trump. It shouldn't matter. They're publicly funded. And if we, the people, want to cut their funds, or if an administration wants to cut their funds because, I don't know, we're $40 trillion in debt, how can you say, oh, it's the First Amendment? I'm sorry, Judge, what part of the First Amendment says you, the American taxpayer, are obligated to pay taxes to fund public broadcasting network? Where is that in the Constitution? Where is that in the Bill of Rights? And he cites the First Amendment. The NPR is not on the First Amendment. PBS is not mentioned in the First Amendment. This is clown world. Americans should be outraged at this today. The Trump administration should be making a national case out of this today. So a judge just declared in this case, by precedent, that you have to pay for PBS and NPR. You have no choice. That's what the First Amendment says, is that you have to fund public broadcasting stations like NPR and PBS. How outrageous is that? How ridiculous of a concept is that? And most people won't even hear about this today, by the way. Supreme Court rules against Colorado ban on conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus kids. So, reverse the gay, pray the gay away. They tried to do away with that in Colorado. They lost at the Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only one that wanted to get rid of this conversion therapy. She was the only one. Oracle fires thousands of employees as AI spending ramps up. And then their shares went up. So they fired 30,000 employees because they needed that money to build data centers and fund an AI project. Yeah, Oracle and Ellison that's partnered with Trump to make America great again. Yeah, just laid off 30,000 workers so they could invest in AI. Thanks, Trump. Thanks, Ellison. Thanks a lot, guys. All right, when we come back from this break, we're going to hear from Netanyahu, and then we are going to get into the geopolitical news. We got a lot of it on the desk today, and including a couple outrageous statements from Netanyahu.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Well, a lot of people have thought about their cell phones, their computers. It's tracking you. It's tracing you. Even now, the White House has an app that they want you to download so that they can track and trace your data. Well, guess what? A lot of people, they don't like that. They don't want to be tracked and traced wherever they go. But what are you going to do? You got a cell phone. You got a laptop. What are you going to do? Well, you can get a silent Faraday bag. That's right. Everything we carry is broadcasting a signal. Your phone, laptop, even your car key fob. Most people don't even realize it. But these devices are constantly sharing location data, identifiers, and wireless handshakes with networks all around you. And this can be tracked, collected, intercepted, and put into a database. And so if you don't like that, you might want to think about a Faraday bag from our friends at Silent. slnt.com/Owen. And right now at slnt.com/Owen, save 15% plus free shipping on qualifying orders. So if you don't want big tech, the government, or anyone else knowing your every move, if you want control over when you're connected and what data you share, get yourself a Silent bag. Now, what's nice about these bags is they have very sleek, very stylish bags. They don't look like they're, anything out of the ordinary. They just look like a normal bag, a normal backpack, fanny pack, a normal dry bag. Very sleek, very subtle, very nice looking even. Just a nice bag. And by the way, it comes with the latest, greatest military technology. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's Silent. They've been awarded 9 military contracts that they have with soldiers to avoid GPS detection. So that's how serious these guys are. So if you want to check it out, go to slnt.com/Owen, slnt.com/Owen, and save 15% plus free shipping on qualifying orders. So if you want a nice bag to carry around your cell phone, your laptop, maybe you've got a fanny pack and your phone is in it and you don't want it blasting your manhood, or maybe you wear a crossbody, you're a female, and you don't want it blasting your mammaries, get a bag from slnt.com/Owen and save 15% plus free shipping on qualifying orders.
No, if that is no, if that is no, if that is no, if that is no, if that is
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Company quietly pitching cloned human bodies to transfer your brain into. Billionaire-backed startup wants to grow organ sacs to replace animal testing. You know, somehow I get the feeling that's already going on. That's right out of the movie The Sixth Day. That was our Owen Report movie recommendation a couple weeks ago. So before we get into the geopolitical stuff, I didn't put this in the final stack today, but I just saw it pop up on my news feed. I wanted to comment quickly on the Irina Zaruska mural. Obviously, this was the lady that was the young girl, the Ukrainian refugee that was killed. Brutally killed, viciously killed on a subway by a career criminal. And somebody does a mural to her. And the Democrats and the liberals, they say that was divisive. And they got rid of it. They censored it. Man. You know, it's interesting. You do a compare and contrast here, and you look at how George Floyd was treated in the aftermath, and then, of course, the police officers that were part of that. You look at how they were treated. Then you look at how Irina Zaruska was treated, and the individual that killed her. That's a pretty amazing compare and contrast right there, isn't it? That's a pretty amazing compare and contrast. And, of course, not all things are equal. George Floyd was a career criminal himself, and committed a crime that day and was resisting arrest, which of course led to him dying in police custody from a fentanyl overdose, according to the autopsy. And yet, George Floyd had, 8 funerals? The golden casket. This was all during the COVID shutdown, by the way. There were nationwide protests, billions of dollars in property damage at these George Floyd protests. All over fake news and all done by the liberal left. But then, God forbid, a mural go up for Irina Zaruska, where there were no riots, no protests, no property damage, nothing. Just some discourse, some online debate, some online awareness. That's all. And they say, we can't have an Irina Zaruska mural because that's divisive. Oh. So the same people that celebrated George Floyd and burnt cities to the ground, causing billions of dollars in property damage, multiple deaths, hundreds of officers hospitalized, that's not divisive. But a single mural for a woman killed on a train, that's too divisive. Oh, I can't, you know what sucks right now? This is the worst part of it right now, is that you can't find, you can barely find common sense on either side of the aisle. You still can't find much common sense on the left. You can't find much common sense on the right. So the people that actually have consistency as far as logic is concerned, people that actually have consistency as far as principles and values are concerned, people that remain logically consistent and principled, we look at the left, totally crazy. Now we look at the right, totally crazy. And then we're like, wait, everyone's going crazy. And they're all pointing at us saying we're crazy. Are you having fun yet? Here's who's really crazy. Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, I want you to notice something as we go to these two clips. So this is first Netanyahu on Newsmax, spreading the standard propaganda here, the same propaganda he's been spewing for 40 years, speaking in English. So he's got to sell this war. He's got to convince Americans that this war against Iran is in their best interest, because, of course, it's not. It's not in our best interest. If it was, they wouldn't be trying to convince you all the time. So that's the proof right there that it's not. So here's Netanyahu still trying to convince you to support this war.
So Iran wants to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city. And this is what this is about. Preventing them from having this intercontinental ballistic missiles with nuclear weapons to tip them, which could threaten the life of every American. That's why President Trump chose to act to prevent them from doing this.
All right, so that's just an outrageous lie. He's been telling that lie for 40 years. And anybody who's not sick of this man's lies, any American who doesn't take these lies and propaganda directed at them personally, it's really a sad case, quite frankly. It's really a sad, pathetic case. So there's Netanyahu speaking in English, telling you Iran wants to kill you. Well, of course, how can Netanyahu sell his war? How can not Netanyahu sell his regime change war in Iran that Americans are not interested in and that Americans feel no connection to? Hey, they're trying to kill you. We're doing it to save you, you stupid goy. Oh, okay. Gee, you've only been telling me that for 40 years. And you know what the great irony of all of this is? Honestly, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's so irrational. It's so nonsensical. And the fact that I see Americans going along for this ride, it's almost so shocking and disheartening that you almost have to recalibrate your entire thought process. Because It's like at this point, if you can't see how ridiculous this war with Iran is from the American perspective, if you can't see how outrageously ridiculous this thing is, then there's almost like nothing I can really do for you. So you think, well, then what is the approach? Do we do serious news coverage? Do we just do the headlines? Or do you just go full comedy? Because really, it's almost to that point where it's just like the only way you can even properly do this is just full-on comedy. Because this whole thing is a damn circus now. This whole thing is a damn clown show. Here's Iran. Who is Iran bombing? When did Iran attack us? When did Iran attack Israel? No, Israel's attacking Iran. The United States is attacking Iran. And they're sitting here saying Iran is going to attack us. Iran is going to attack us as they're just attacking Iran all the time. It's just like, what in the hell? It's like, hey, they want to kill you. Meanwhile, Israel just wants to kill them. So it's just everything they say about this war in Iran, just the complete opposite is true. And that's what's so crazy, that people still fall for this crap. Iran wants to bomb you. 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 Meanwhile, it's Israel just bombing. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I wish I was gifted at like cartoons or animation or something. And I'd have Netanyahu standing there with two bombs already lit. The fuse is already lit with these two bombs. He says, hey, Iran wants to bomb you. Iran has bombs and they want to bomb you. And he's just standing there with two bombs. And then he throws one at Iran and he's telling you how Iran is going to bomb you. And then he throws the second one at Iran and he says, see, Iran wants to bomb you, as he's just lobbing bomb after bomb into Iran. And Iran isn't bombing anybody. Well, of course, now Iran is bombing Israel and who knows who else. It's just ridiculous. So, but that's what he tells you. He speaks in English when he's propagandizing the American people. Of course, he speaks in Hebrew when he's propagandizing the Israeli people. And so this is in Hebrew here. I'll play it, but it's amazing. So he says that this war is to stop Iran from killing Americans. That's what he tells us. But what does he tell the Israeli people who are getting sick of it?
And this is the guarantee for our future. We are working on transforming Israel into a super nation in the region and globally. And we were able to do so thanks to our soldiers and our captains and all those. And this is.
You mean thanks to America, right? You mean thanks to America? You mean you wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for us? Israel would not be able to do 1 inch of this if it wasn't for the United States of America. If it wasn't for all the money we give them, if it wasn't for all the military support we give them, Israel wouldn't be able to do any of this. And that's why Americans are so outraged now. Because we look at Israel as this regime and Netanyahu, we look at them as the most evil entity on this planet. That's how the world views Israel now. And so Americans are sitting here saying, okay, well, what is Israel doing? They're bombing 7 countries. What is Israel doing? They're killing hundreds of thousands of people. What is Israel doing? They're expanding their borders. What is Israel doing? They're passing laws that only apply to non-Israelis, that only apply to non-Jews or Palestinians. Unheard of in the Western world. Completely antithetical to Western justice values and the Western justice system. And here's Israel doing it. It is the closest thing to a Nazi establishment that you're going to see in the 21st century, or that you've seen so far in the 21st century. The Nazis were bad because they were a national ethno-state hell-bent on expanding their borders, and they didn't care who they went to war with. Well, golly gee, who does that sound like? What country in the world is a national ethno-state hell-bent on expanding its borders and killing anyone in their way, that has laws that only apply to the non-ethno-nationalists? What nation does that sound like? There's only one nation in the world that can be described with such words, and that, of course, is Israel. So the American people are just saying, hey, we don't want to fund it. We want nothing to do with it. We don't want to fund it. You guys have at it on your own. We want out. We're done with the regime change wars. We're done with U.S. blood and treasure in the Middle East. And finally, we get a president, Donald Trump, that agrees with us, that sees this for what it is and says, okay, I promise, no more regime change wars, no new wars in the Middle East. And then he turns out to be a total liar. And then he stabs us in the back on that deal too. So when Netanyahu is propagandizing America, he says, hey, this war is to stop Iran from killing you. When Netanyahu is propagandizing Israel, he says, we're doing this to turn Israel into an international superpower, which, of course, is probably closer to the truth. That I would say is a truthful statement. When Benjamin Netanyahu tells Israel he's turning Israel into an international superpower, that is probably a truthful statement. When he tells America that they're doing this to stop Iran from killing us, that is a complete and total lie. But of course, how is Israel going to turn itself into an international superpower? Oh, that's right. By siphoning the blood and treasure from the United States to do it. And we're sick of it. So that's what we get. This is what we are witnessing, and we just want to stop it. We are witnessing the elite status of the United States of America. We are witnessing the United States of America as the globally established, most powerful nation on the world with the moral high ground, and we are watching it being handed over to Israel as our way of living goes down, as our world status goes down, as our morals go down, as our economy goes down, as our infrastructure goes down, as our culture goes down. Everything that once made America great is all declining, and here's Israel siphoning it all off and saying, we will be the international superpower. And if you dare say anything about that, and if you dare stand up and say, hey, I don't want to do that, I'd rather have my country fix my country, you're called an anti-Semite. You're called a hater. And yet the facts remain. That's exactly what we're all witnessing right now. But so there you go. That's how Netanyahu works. He propagandizes the West with one message in English, and then he propagandizes Israel with another message in Hebrew. Now, this war is getting less and less popular in Israel itself. So you have demonstrations almost weekly, if not daily now, against the war in Israel. And now that Israel is trying to conquer Lebanon, now that Israel is killing people in Lebanon, some Israeli soldiers have died in the process with this. So normally Israel doesn't lose too many soldiers because basically the way Israel operates militarily is they send in the bombs, they do the military-style demolition, there's no boots on the ground, and then afterwards they send in the cleanup crews. So after they come in from the air and just bomb everything, kill everybody, turn entire civilizations into rubble, then the IDF goes in on the ground as kind of a mop-up crew, occupation crew. So they suffer little casualties, and they did suffer 5 casualties in their taking of Lebanon, in their conquering of Lebanon, South Lebanon that they've destroyed and they're now going to take now as the world watches. So there's protests in Israel because some IDF soldiers have died. There's protests inside of the IDF. There's protests in Knesset proceedings. And then there was this protest yesterday, a father of one of the slain IDF soldiers speaking out. I'll tell you what, I'll read these captions as he's speaking. I have a heroic son, but I don't want a heroic son. I just want a son at home. All I want is for you to be alive. That's all I want. A day before entering Lebanon, I asked you, are you scared? You told me no, Dad. I'm not scared, and I'm not worried. I said, but take care. And he said, Dad, don't worry. I want to live. I want kids. I want you to have grandchildren. I'll come back. Wait for me at home. We waited for you at home, but you returned to us in a coffin. So these are the types of protests that are happening in Israel now. But you won't see that in the Western media because they have to tell you that support for this war is universal. They have to tell you that support for this war in Israel is overwhelming. So they don't show you the protests against Netanyahu. They don't show you the speeches from former IDF soldiers and the parents of IDF soldiers that have died, because that might make you question supporting this war or question the legitimacy of this war, and that, of course, is not allowed. Then Trey Yingst, who first, Yingst, I'm surprised. Let's pray for Yingst's safety, quite frankly, because we know Israel likes to bomb journalists, too. How many journalists has Israel killed? We've lost count. It's so many. So he's been breaking some stories that are he's probably not supposed to be breaking, especially not on Fox News. Like how Israel photoshopped images of a journalist to make him look like a terrorist, even though he wasn't. Just wicked evil on display by Israel. And now Yingst is here today. Another story he's breaking on Fox News that I hope Trey gets good intelligence here and stays away from missiles, because you're breaking this stuff on Fox and you're getting access in Israel, I'm sure, at their good graces and protection. I'm not sure you're supposed to be saying this on Fox News.
The sentiment that we get from the Israeli people that we talk to is to finish the job. They don't want to have to deal with this. They don't want to have their children raised in bomb shelters. On Wednesday, tomorrow, the Israeli people will mark the first night of Passover, and many of them will be having their Passover seders in bomb shelters. And it's just a reality that the Israeli people are tired of. They want these threats to be reduced against their country, and they'd like to live in peace and stability.
It's such a good point, Trey, because, there's a divided government in Israel. You got a prime minister of one side and you got a president of another side. But the one thing they agree on is the threat that Iran poses to their country. And
I'm not so sure that's what they tell us. So in other words, the Israelis are living in bunkers. Their economy is shut down. It's not a good lifestyle, and they're not sure when it's going to come to an end, and they're sick of it. And how could you blame them? And they've been doing this for years, really, but for the last year with this war against Iran, this regime change war in Iran. But you know what's funny? Because you always want logic to be applied universally, because if logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. So what would the message be if we're looking for consistent messaging here, consistent logic? What would the message be for these Israelis that are sick of living in bunkers, sick of having missiles blowing up their cities, their homes, sick of the war, sick of destruction? What would the message be? Well, you need to get rid of your leadership. It's your guys' fault. You guys have bad leadership. So if you don't want to live in bunkers and you don't want missiles bombing your country, then you need to get rid of your leadership. You need to get rid of your sadistic, monstrous leadership. You need to get rid of Netanyahu. Now, in fairness, Netanyahu is on trial in Israel, and Netanyahu is wanted for international war crimes. So they should probably turn him over to these bodies of law, and maybe they can deal with that. But no, as long as Netanyahu is your leader, you're going to get bombed. You're going to be at war. You're going to put your people in the line of fire. That's the case. But this is what they tell the Palestinians, right? When Israel killed 100,000 Palestinians, they said, "Hey, this is your fault. If you guys would have gotten rid of your bad leaders, we wouldn't have to had killed 100,000 of you. We wouldn't have to kill all your women and children. We wouldn't have to completely destroy your civilization. So it's your fault because you didn't get rid of your leaders." So if you're Israeli and you are living in a bunker and dealing with bombs and missiles every night, by your own standards, that's your fault because you didn't get rid of your corrupt leadership. And by your own standards, if you die in this war, that's justified. Just like you justified killing 100,000 Palestinians. So this logic is supposed to be applied universally. Of course, it's not. Of course, the logic is Israel can do no wrong. And since Jews are God's chosen people, they're allowed to kill and rape and murder and kidnap whatever the hell they want. That's because God is allowing them to do it. And then anybody else that stands up to them or stands in their way, God gives them the right to kill, rape, and murder you. So that's their logic. That's why you'll never see this logic applied universally. But if it was applied universally, that's what the messaging would be here. Oh, Israel, you're sick of being bombed. Oh, Jews, you're sick of all the anti-Semitism. Well, I guess you better do something about your leaders then, right? I guess you better do something about your leaders, because that's what you told the Palestinians when you killed their women and children. That's what you told the Palestinians when you completely annihilated their civilization. Is that what you're going to be telling the Lebanese people too, that you're killing? Is that what you're going to be telling the Lebanese people whose civilization you just killed there too? Just curious. Are we even working on that messaging, or we just don't even care anymore? No, that logic doesn't go both ways, does it? Amazing. Well, Iran is threatening now. This is what we're told. Iran threatens 18 huge companies with destructions. Employees told stay away. Iran's IRGC has branded 18 multinationals terrorist spy companies and urged employees to leave their workplaces immediately to preserve their lives. Now, this is where we're getting into a little bit crazy territory here. So if you come out and now you say, oh, well, Iran is the bad guy, we should bomb them. Okay. But if you come out and say, well, this is a war, we started a war, and this is the consequences of starting a war, you'd be called anti-American, you'd be called unpatriotic, you'd be told you hate the troops. So what's the story here? The attitude is, hey, if we decide we're going to kill you, if we decide we're going to destroy your country, if we decide anything, we can decide whatever we want. We can kill, we can kidnap, we can destroy, and any response that you take to that is unwarranted and unjustified. That's the attitude here. Now, do I want Iran to strike U.S. businesses? Do I want Iran to control the Strait of Hormuz, and now it's costing countries energy to a certain degree? No, I don't like that. But why is this happening? It's happening because of us. It's happening because of Trump. It's happening because of Netanyahu. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for Trump and Netanyahu. That's a fact. So, yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump started a war. And guess what? Now there's some repercussions of that war. Oh, you don't like the repercussions? Then we shouldn't have the war. It's really that simple. And guess what? Many of us didn't like the repercussions already. That's why we didn't support the war from the get-go. But see, you don't control your government. You don't have any say in the outcome of foreign policy. That's all up to the donor class. That's all up to the foreign interests and the special interests. Foreigners, foreign nationalists have more say over your country than you do, in case you haven't noticed. Iran vows to strike U.S. tech firms in Middle East. It's amazing that all of this is happening. Such companies as Google and Microsoft. It's amazing all of this is happening after Trump has declared total victory and claims the Iranian military has been destroyed. Someone's lying. Haifa refinery hit in latest Iranian missiles barrage. Bazan Group confirms in earlier barrages, missile shrapnel struck the facility, causing localized damage and temporary power disruptions, though no casualties were reported. Well, it's been hit for a second time. How is Iran doing this? We were told they have no military. We were told they have no launch pads, no missiles, and they've just hit another oil refinery in Israel. Someone's lying. So a bunch of oil refineries on fire. Well, what does that do? Jet fuel spikes as airlines warn supplies could run dry within weeks. U.S. jet fuel prices jumped from $2.17 a gallon to $4.57 a gallon. Yikes. So let's see. When Trump got into office, these prices were under $1 a gallon. Now they're almost $5 a gallon. And so now flying gets more expensive. Everything gets more expensive. Thank you, Trump, for starting this war in Iran for Israel. Thank you, President Trump, for throwing America under the bus. Thank you, President Trump, for screwing America. But hey, you're going to get a golden statue, so what do you care? U.S. gasoline hits $4 per gallon, highest since 2022, as Iran war drives up fuel prices more than 30%. The longer this war goes on, the worse it gets. Diesel prices, meanwhile, have surged more than 40% to more than $5 per gallon, with broad implications for the U.S. economy. So we're talking shipping, we're talking agriculture. We are getting crushed. Donald Trump is crushing the American people. But hey, he just signed an executive order at the White House right now to ban mail-in ballots, because he actually votes by mail, which actually makes sense. So I'm not even against the executive order, but it is ironic. So thank you, President Trump, for screwing America over for Israel's interest in the Middle East. Thank you so much for screwing us hard and lying to us. Thank you so much, Mr. President. MAGA! A Walmart-related recession indicator that's preceded the last 4 economic downturns is flashing red. Is Trump going to send us into a recession? This guy's so bad, man. Trump is so bad. It's unbelievable. But the optics and the theater of it kind of saves him from the scrutiny of MAGA. A federal office designed to stave off the next financial crisis is being dismantled by the Trump administration. Upcoming layoffs at the Treasury Department agency will result in an overall workforce reduction of 64%. That's fine with me. The Treasury Department's Office of Financial Research began President Trump's second term with 196 employees. It now has about 100 and is looking to get down to 70. Hey, I don't mind slashing the government at all. I really don't. But I do think they're intentionally trying to cut down this office specifically, because eventually they're going to start making calls saying, hey, we've got some really bad signs in the economy, and the Trump administration doesn't want that news to get out. So they're just going to shut that down. Oh, what do you know? People are warning of nuclear war. Nuclear winter warning. UN diplomat steps down, cites safety concerns. Mohammed Safa, a UN human rights diplomat, has resigned from his position, accusing the international organization of preparing to use nuclear weapons. He resigned from his diplomatic position on Friday, and in a series of posts, he warned about a looming nuclear catastrophe and threat to his own safety and well-being. You know they're thinking about it. All sides, they're thinking about it. So now we get into, where does the world stand on Israel, and where do our so-called allies stand on this war? And yes, this is a big do not doubt me, folks segment. This is a big, huge I told you so segment, because I did say this when everyone said the opposite. Maldives bans Israeli passport holders amid Gaza conflict. They don't even want the Israelis there. You've got Israelis fleeing the country, by the way, fleeing. The airports are shut down, so they go by foot. Normally, they just flee by airplane, but I don't think they can get out via airplane too safely right now, too consistently. So now they're just trying to walk to Egypt. So here's a massive line, thousands of Israelis trying to flee to Egypt. So they don't even want to live in Israel. Isn't it ironic, all the Israelis, they don't even want to live in their own country because of what their leadership does? It's pretty funny, isn't it? It's pretty funny. They're so proud of Israel, but then they all flee because of what they do. And so they flee to these other countries, and then these other countries say, hey, we don't want you. You guys are causing trouble all over the world. Why don't you stay in your home country and stop causing these problems, and then maybe we can work something out here. Maybe we can get some peace. This is like when Democrats leave California. Democrats destroy California with bad policy, and then they flee to Texas. Israelis make Israel an unsafe place to live, and then they flee all over the world. It's the same thing. And so now they're teaching their kids. Now, this is, I get back into the psychology element here. These are these young Israelis that are now part of this process of taking the land from the Palestinians. Look at how they're behaving here. So you got these Israeli children in the West Bank, which Trump said they wouldn't be allowed to go in. Now they have. They've spit and trapped. They've embarrassed Trump again. They've lied to Trump again. They've spit in Trump's face again, and he doesn't even have the courage to stand up for himself or anybody in this manner. So you've got these young Israelis getting physically violent against Palestinians. And here's what I see, and I can't help but look at these parallels just from a human psychology standpoint. I can't help because they're so obvious. What do we see in America? We see in America, gonna get a little, it's a little sensitive here. It's a little controversial here. But what do we see? We see in America this phenomenon, and you could say maybe it starts with Black Lives Matter. Maybe it starts with the trauma-based mind control. Maybe it starts with the intentional racial divisions and demonizing of white people. And so what do you see? You see these black kids, sometimes even adults, but you see black kids bullying white kids and you know, doing this group bullying, or they do like these gang-style beatings, and they all want to beat down on the white kid, and they make it like this ritualistic thing. And it's all trained psychology. It's all trauma-based mind control. And so they see the white person as lesser, or they see the white person as the bad guy, and therefore they feel justified, even rewarded, in this type of behavior, beating up the white kid, hating the white kid. And so that's what you see. Well, a similar thing happens here. The Israelis, trauma-based mind control. These young Jewish students, they're taught that Palestinians are less than them and that they're the victims of Palestinians. And so they feel justified, they feel glorified to go out there and act that way. It's all trauma-based mind control. It's all propaganda. And that's why there's so many parallels here between Black Lives Matter and standing up to anti-Semitism. It's just, you know, one is woke left, one is woke right. But that's why we have all of these videos of these young Israelis acting the same way in a very bullying, vicious gang mindset against non-Israelis. And then you see the same thing here with young blacks, with non-blacks. And it's like, oh, if you observe that, you're racist. No, that's just the fact. And now it's the same thing with these young Israelis. Like, oh, if you observe that, you're an anti-Semite. No, just observing the facts here. So it's all trauma-based mind control. It's woke left. It's woke right. It's the same thing. We're all witnessing it. So let's take a short break because I got a lot of this geopolitical news. I want to take a short break here at the bottom of the hour. About to be 5 o'clock Central. And I'm going to do the big I told you so here. And I feel like I should probably I just don't even want to take the time. I don't like going back. You know, I always move forward. I don't like going backward. But I could go back a month or two ago when the headline started. I guess it was a month ago, actually, after Trump did the Iran strikes. And the mainstream media came out and said, European allies, NATO allies will back Trump in this war. And I said, you're delusional. Don't bet on that. Well, the I told you so moment is finally here.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Trump taking questions from the press in the White House, Howard Lutnick standing over his shoulder. And I really couldn't care less. Probably should go to it, probably should cover it live, but what's the point? Trump just talks out of his ass. He doesn't mean anything he says these days. It's all BS. He just makes stuff up. Just one day says one thing, just makes it up. Next day says another thing, just makes it up. So I'm not going to gaslight my audience today. I'm not going to do it with the latest Trump BS. So after we struck Iran, now I believe 31 days ago, the headlines came out and they said European nations will join the war against Iran. They said NATO allies expected to join Trump's war against Iran. I came on air that day and I said, reading these stories, said, that's not happening. I said, that's not happening. Not going to happen. Don't bet on it. You'll see. And I think at the time I was probably the only person expressing this. And it was obvious to me at the time, well, now we're here. Now it's undeniable. Never doubt me, folks, how Europe has turned its back on Trump. Italy blocks U.S. bomber from landing. Spain closes airspace, and Poland denies Patriots' request as furious president lashes out at UK and at EU. Told ya! Europe hardens stance against Trump's war in risk to NATO. Well, I really don't care about NATO. I'd get out of NATO anyway. And what's the purpose? Think about it like this. And it just shows you how this whole war is a lie. Right here. This is your big explainer, which is really short and sweet, about how this whole war is a lie. The entire purpose of NATO, the NATO allies, is that we essentially promise military defense, military support for one another should we get attacked. Now, this is all based off of kind of post-Cold War era foreign policy. Russia's the boogeyman. Europe wants protection from Russia. We're kind of neighbors with Russia to a certain degree. So we had this kind of anti-communist Western pact of NATO to stand up against Russia. But generally speaking, we all share in each other's interests. We all share in each other's defense. So Iran, you know, Netanyahu keeps telling us Iran wants to kill every American. So why isn't NATO jumping at the gun? Because they know it's a lie. They know it's a lie. But it's time to get out of NATO anyway. And this should be Trump's moment to break with NATO. And I've watched so many of these moments come and go, and Trump has expressed how we need to get out of NATO anyway. He uses NATO as leverage because it's just a money laundering operation. These European countries just steal our money. That's all it is. So he uses that as leverage for his other agendas. But this should be the big break. Oh, hey, Iran wants to kill us all. Iran wants to attack us. NATO, you need to help in our defense against Iran. They say, no, not going to do it. It's because they know it's a lie. But Trump has to pretend it's true. So he should break with NATO. He says this is a violation of the treaty. No more NATO. And maybe I'll go make deals with Russia now. But no, you won't get any of that. They won't help us in the war in Iran, and they'll still continue to take our money. But we all know why this is allowed to take place, because everybody knows that Trump is lying. Everybody knows that Netanyahu is lying. So they're not going to base foreign policy off of lies. That's what the United States does. They're not interested. So this is the statement from Trump. All those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran. Yeah, they don't want to get involved in a war. It's not in their interest. I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. Oh, we have plenty? Because you just tapped into our strategic oil reserves to try to save gas prices. So now you're saying we have plenty? Where is this plenty? Why are we paying $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon for diesel if we have plenty? Why did you tap in to the strategic reserves to keep gas prices down if we have plenty? It's disgusting what an outright liar Donald Trump is. 2, build up some delayed courage, go to the Strait and just take it. So just be a theft like he is. Hey, just go steal oil from Venezuela. Hey, just go steal oil from Iran. Hey, just go steal oil like we do. So first he lies, then he just encourages international crimes. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us, except we are still paying for NATO, so he's lying again. Iran has been essentially decimated as they're bombing multiple countries and hitting oil refineries. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil, President Trump. Honestly, Trump is just, it's really sad. It's really just sad what's happened to Trump. And you just have to wonder what it really is, It's like you try to figure it out. I got into some of the psychology of it yesterday, but I'm looking at it today again, and it's just like, what is the story? Has Trump just genuinely just lost his mind? Is he just gone? And I can imagine all, let's say the trauma of all the different experiences he's gone through in politics and the death threats and the bullet whizzing by his face or everything else. Yeah, I'm sure that does something to a man and his family. I'm sure that does something to a man. And it's almost like at this point, he's just considering himself dead, so he doesn't really care about anything. Like he doesn't care about the consequences of his statements. He doesn't care about the consequences of his actions. He just figures he's already dead. They're trying to kill him. He just wakes up every day and says, oh, I made it another day. So, what he says, what he does doesn't even matter. He doesn't have to think about it. He's assuming he's not going to have to pay for the price of any of it. But it's just like, where does this come from? Where does this madman mentality come from? When did Donald Trump become such an outrageous liar? Just an outrageous liar. Just an outrageous grandstander. Just an outrageous gaslighter. I mean, he's 100%. He's as bad as Obama is. Like Biden, he's just kind of slurring around, just kind of fumbling around, stammering, stuttering, fumbling, falling over himself. Like with Biden, you're just like, all right, this is an old guy. He doesn't even know what's going on. Trump is like a total madman. He's like an intentional lying gaslighter. He's just like, it's crazy, man. And I really do think to a certain extent, he has like this Messiah complex now. And he just expects full trust and full loyalty no matter what. And if you don't express that full trust and full loyalty, then he just hates you. And he's just going to lash out at you. But at this point, Donald Trump is essentially Barack Obama, except like a madman. Like at least Obama with his gaslighting, at least Obama with his outrageous lies, like he at least was like calm and stoic about it. Like he at least had like a kind of a measured, subtle approach to the gaslighting. Trump is just like, yeah, here's a bunch of gas, here's the match, I'm just blowing this whole thing up. Honestly, it is crazy to witness Donald Trump crashing out. And maybe part of this is his advisors. Maybe part of this is who he's surrounded by, not helping him out, not doing him any favors. Like, oh, yeah, Trump, everything you do is great. Oh, yeah, you're very popular, Trump. Oh, yeah, people really like when you lie to them. Oh, yeah, people really like this war. Oh, yeah, keep it up. Just total lies. So he just thinks it's popular, so he's just doubling down, tripling down. And then they say, look at this poll, President Trump, 100% approval rating. Oh, my gosh. And then he calls Laura Loomer, who's like bathing in the blood of the innocent, telling him how great he is. This Trump has turned into a madman. And, you know, you could say, well, maybe there's a time. Maybe there's a time when you need that. But he's not doing it for us. He's not a madman for us. He's a madman for Israel. He's a madman for war in the Middle East. He's a madman for regime change in the Middle East. He's not a madman against the corrupt Democrats. He's not a madman against the corrupt deep state. He's not a madman against the people that stole the election. He's not a madman against the people that lied to him about COVID, lied to him about the COVID vaccines. He's not a madman against the people in America that were censoring free speech. No, he's a madman for foreign and special interests. He doesn't even work for us anymore. He's not even our madman. We carry on. Israel to halt arms purchases from France. The decision was made because of France's recent criticism of Israel, a government official says. And France is not too upset about that. Europe has broken from Israel, folks. And the only reason America hasn't is because of Trump. Because of AIPAC and Adelson and Trump. Poland rejects sending Patriot batteries to the Middle East despite U.S. request. Warsaw stresses air defense systems will remain to protect Polish skies and NATO's eastern flank. Wow, you mean Poland doesn't want to sell its people out for Israel? Amazing. You mean Poland wants to take care of its own country and protect its own people? Wow, what a crazy thought. Somebody give Trump this idea. Will somebody ask President Trump to consider the Polish approach, putting our country first, protecting our people first? Just an idea, just a thought. And this is Trump lashing out. What do you mean you won't sacrifice your people for Israel? What do you mean you won't give Israel everything you have to fight this war? What do you mean? Go get your own oil. And the rest of the world is like, dude, we're not fighting wars for Israel. The rest of the world is like, hey, man, we're not getting into a war with Iran because of you old madmen. And that's what they are. Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump are old madmen. They are gray-haired old madmen who seem to have lost their minds in their old age. And instead of like tinkering with a newspaper or a golf club or a pickleball paddle or whatever the hell you might do when you're 70, 80 years old, they're tinkering around with nuclear war. It's disgusting to watch Trump and Netanyahu, two 80-year-old men, potentially throw the world into a nuclear war, potentially throw the world into World War III because of these old bastards that aren't long for this world, and they're going to throw the rest of this planet. They're going to throw hundreds of millions of people in their own countries, potentially the world, into maybe a nuclear war, and they're both almost 80 years old, tinkering around with nuclear war like a bunch of old gray-haired madmen that belong in mental institutions. Europe is out. And notice, their leaders aren't 70, 80 years old. Notice that. Here's another one. Italy slams Israeli police for blocking Latin patriarch from Holy Sepulchre Palm Sunday Mass. So Maloney has been very outspoken against what Israel is doing. Poland, Spain, France. Maloney went a step further. So this is, the translation didn't happen here for some reason. So she's speaking in French, and then it looks like they are doing translations in France, so doesn't really get us much. Maloney, I accuse Israel of crossing the red line. I condemn the massacre of Palestinian civilians, and I announce that Italy will support European sanctions against Israel. So all of Europe's leadership, which is mostly younger, they're not these gray-haired, insane war tyrants like Trump and Netanyahu, and they're saying, hey, we're not doing this. They might have their own leftist ideas. I'm not saying Europe doesn't have its own problems. But I'm saying on this issue, they're not going to put their people in harm's way. They're not going to go to a war for Israel. They see what Israel for it is. They see for Netanyahu for what it is. They're not getting involved. And Trump's pissed. No. Why don't you guys take your 80-year-old boomer war and fight it yourselves? Let's see Donald Trump send his grandkids to this war. Oh, he won't. Let's see Netanyahu send his kids to this war. Oh, he won't. No. None of them fight. No, they want you, the poor Americans, to go fight and die. Everyone else sees this war for what it is. They want nothing to do with it. And we're sitting here with this 80-year-old orange chode lying out of his teeth, lying from his lips every single day, working for foreign interest, working for special interest, has half the country under a brainwashing mind control spell. It's like, can I shake Trump out of it, or is he just gone? Removing EU flag is betrayal. French minister tells far-right mayors. These French mayors are going around to their town halls and they're taking the EU flag down. Several new mayors have made a point of pulling down EU flags and replacing them with extra French tricolors. The French are now more patriotic than us, guys. French politicians are more nationalistic than us. I can't believe I'm here on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, and I'm jealous that French politicians are more patriotic and nationalist than our own politicians. The French! The French! The French are rejecting globalism more than the United States of America. The French are rejecting foreign entanglements more than the United States of America. I can't believe it. And it's always kind of a fun thing to joke about the Frenchies and everything else. I give them credit. Under Macron, the guy whose wife might be a husband. Under Macron, the French, more nationalistic, more independent, more against foreign entanglements than Trump. Unbelievable. Vive la France! Russia takes another big hit from a Ukrainian drone. Explosion tore through. Good luck with this one. Let me go with this one, guys. Explosion tore through Nizneka Skenivkim plant in Tartarstan, causing casualties. Try to read that one for me, guys. Niznekam Skenevkin. I'm done. I tried it twice. A powerful explosion occurred at the petrochemical plant still on fire. So you got one of the biggest oil refineries in Russia on fire. Now you got a petrochemical plant on fire, multiple casualties. Here's one of the images of that on the screen for you. We're paying for both of these wars, by the way. We have spent hundreds of billions of dollars in both of these wars that don't benefit us at all. At all. It's just so frustrating, you know, and I look around at the political world and we have our debates, we have our issues, but I can't help it because most of this needs to be directed at MAGA, and that's the truth. I'm not taking it easy on myself. Maybe even to a certain extent, I feel a level of guilt. I don't know if I can consciously say that that's true, but maybe one of the reasons why I'm going so hard on Trump, maybe one of the reasons why I'm ranting and raving about what a disaster and a betrayal this Trump administration is because I voted for it. I was part of it. I was part of bringing it back. I was supporting it. So, yeah, I feel like maybe whether it's like, I don't think it's guilt. I don't feel guilty. You know, I was the one that was lied to. But no, I feel like I bear a little bit of a responsibility here. I supported this man. I voted for this man. Hell, I mean, I'm probably top 5 as far as who's suffered the most for supporting this man. I'm probably top 5. So, yeah, I feel like I owe it a little bit. I feel like I owe it a little bit to my audience. I owe it a little bit to this country. I feel like I owe it a little bit to make sure that I'm holding this administration accountable, that I'm keeping Trump's feet to the fire. I understand for other people that didn't invest as much. I understand for other people that are just cheerleaders and meme makers and impressionists. I understand they have nothing invested. For them, it's just a fun game. For them, it's just like a child's game. For them, it's just like a business model. It's an online personality. So I understand for them why they don't really feel this push to be critical of the administration, because they have nothing to lose. They have to support this administration no matter what. That's their entire business model. Or I guess I could say maybe I should say it the other way. They have everything to lose. I mean that they didn't lose anything in the process. They didn't invest anything in the process. So I'm just sitting here. It's like, this isn't political. This isn't left. This isn't right. This isn't Republican. This isn't Democrat. This isn't conservative. This isn't liberal. This isn't nationalist. This is just a statement of fact that I'm bashing my head against this wall, and I'm just so frustrated, folks. Between this war in Iran and the war in Ukraine, the United States of America is going to be in for at least $500 billion. We will be in the war in Ukraine and this new war in Iran, the United States of America, we will be in for $500 billion. For $500 billion, folks. Okay? Do you have any idea, $500 billion, what that could do for the United States of America? We could build an entire high-speed rail system if that's what we wanted to do. We could build nuclear reactors and power our entire grid if that's what we wanted to do. We could build an entire new city. You could just build up a new city. You could do an experimental civil engineering project. We could do so much. Our country could be so much. Our country could be so great. Our country could be so prosperous. We could be so free. We could have the best infrastructure, the best airports, the best subways, the best metros, the best train stations, the best everything. We could have the best everything. And instead, we just spend all of our money on foreign wars. And that's just the last 5 years, folks. That's just the last 5 years. You want to talk about the 21st century? Okay, you're talking about at least $6 trillion. You're talking about at least $6 trillion spent on foreign wars. $6 trillion. Imagine what that could do for our country. It's not left. It's not right. It's basic common sense. It's basic economics. We have been robbed. Every single American. It doesn't matter if you vote Democrat. It doesn't matter if you vote Republican. It doesn't matter if you don't even vote. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself a conservative, a liberal. None of it matters. You have been robbed. Your entire country has been robbed. Since the turn of the 21st century, for $6 trillion invested in foreign entanglements, which has done nothing for us except made our country less safe and made our people more hated across the world. That's what these wars have done. And it is beyond a tragedy. It is beyond a crime. It is both a tragedy and a crime, and it's the very lifeblood of our republic. being spilled in foreign countries. It's the very future of our country being sacrificed on the altar of foreign interests and special interests. That's why I rail. That's why I bash my head against this establishment. That's why I'm sitting here mauling the Trump administration every day with my show, because they've screwed us just like every other administration. They lied to us and they screwed us, and they're costing our country dearly, just like every other administration. And we were supposed to turn it around. We were supposed to be doing the opposite. And I watch all of these MAGA cult members sit here and celebrate this crap. And you're all frauds. You're all phonies. You're all as brainwashed as the left for cheering this on. So yeah, I am sick of it. I am angry. I do feel that I owe it to my country, to my audience, to sit here and hold Trump accountable because he's screwing us over. I'm not going to put on your little cheerleading outfit. I'm not going to be part of your little gay cult. I want to save the country. I want to have a future in this country. I don't want Americans to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to see our national debt go to 100 trillion. What does that even mean? I'm sick of seeing our soldiers overseas. I'm sick of hearing about how I need to get involved in another war. I'm sick of every time I drive my car, there's a new pothole. I'm sick of every time I go downtown, there's a new crime. I'm sick of every time I go to New York City, it gets worse. And that's the story. And every single American should be outraged. Every single American should be outraged at the fact that your country has been sold out to the highest bidder and your blood and treasure has been spilled in foreign lands. Every single American should be outraged. And then I just watched the MAGA cult that pretended to care. I watched the MAGA cult that pretended to be about America first, that pretended to be about stopping the fraud, stopping the waste, fraud, and abuse, stopping the deep state, exposing the Epstein clients. They all faked it. They all faked every single minute of it. It was all a game to them. It was all a sports ball game to them. It was all a cheerleading competition to them. So Zelensky comes out now. This is actually hilarious. He says, Zelensky tells Netanyahu, we have what he needs, and he has what he has what we need. So Zelensky to Netanyahu, we have what you need, and you have what we need. Let's have a partnership. Isn't that ironic? Because both of you need the United States. Both of you would have nothing if it wasn't for the United States. So the irony of Zelensky saying, oh, we can team up. We can team up. We can team up, BB. We team up. We have what you want, and you have what we want, and we can team up. Neither of you would have jack squat if you weren't stealing from us. Neither of you would have jack crap if you weren't taking our money. So here's a royal idea. Here's a royal idea for you. How about we cut both of you off? How about the United States of America cuts Israel and Ukraine off, and we build our own country and make our own country great again for once, and then you two can find a partnership and see how that goes. See how that one goes. And you know what the truth is? And this is why the ungratefulness is so outrageous. The truth is, if it wasn't for the United States of America right now, I don't know if there'd be an Israel. If it wasn't for the United States of America right now, I don't know if there would be a Ukraine. And we're never given any thanks. Instead, we're attacked, we're ridiculed, we're told that we owe something here. Like, oh, we're owed our loyalty to Israel. We owe our loyalty to Ukraine. They're fighting the fight for us. What? What kind of parallel universe are you living in? What kind of upside down reality are you trying to sell here? These countries would likely not even exist today if it wasn't for the United States of America, our blood and our treasure. And I'm sick of it. So go ahead. I say to Israel, I say to Ukraine, since you guys are frustrated, you're not getting enough from us. Why don't you two form a partnership, and let's see how you guys fare without us. Let's see how Ukraine and Israel can fare without the United States sacrificing itself at your altar. Let's go ahead and find that one out. I'd love to see that. That'd be a fun one to watch. Well, maybe Canada has the answer, or at least Alberta. Alberta's bid to secede from Canada poised to hit October ballot. Even as U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to absorb Canada, some Alberta voters are determined to break it apart. So this could be interesting. We'll see what happens on the ballot in October. Will Alberta secede from Canada? And if they do, should Texas follow suit and secede from the United States? You know, really what I'd rather see? I'd rather see a state declare independence from the federal government. That's what I'd rather see. I'd rather see a state say we are no longer cooperating with the federal government and the federal government has no jurisdiction here anymore. I'd rather just see us break ties with the Fed. So you live in, let's say Texas breaks ties with the Fed. We no longer owe any federal taxes. Federal agencies no longer have jurisdiction here. And we Texans will decide our own fate. We're done with the corrupt federal government. That's what I'd rather see. I'd rather not see the union break apart. I'd rather just see the Fed come to an end. So, all right, let's try to get through the rest of this before we get to our super chats here. We may need bonus time today. So James O'Keefe was on air today. He gets served. James O'Keefe was just served with a restraining order at his West Palm Beach OMG headquarters while live on air. James said this is evidence of a constitutional crisis and that he's losing hope as the criminals walk free while he is raided by cops for doing his job. And he's 100% right. And, you know, James is in an interesting position, and I don't want to speak for James here, so I don't want to speak out of line. So I don't want to speak for James. I want to be careful how I say this. But James is in an interesting position. You know, he has his own job to do with his undercover journalism and the OMG work that he does. And there's certain boundaries that you have to kind of have when you do that type of work. And when you're your source of income, let's say, for that type of work is not like a standard, operating company. So, James tries his best to stay neutral, and he tries his best to just stick to the work and not really aim it any direction. And for the most part, he's been very successful, obviously. But I can tell you, based off of this and maybe some conversations I've had with James, I think James is getting frustrated too. Because he's getting harassed by Project Veritas. He's getting harassed by these people that were at Project Veritas. And that's not even the real issue here. James O'Keefe has been exposing government corruption for decades, literally decades. And he's also had people come after him, and they've never been successful in court, by the way. But here's James O'Keefe. Here he is, a target of lawfare again. Here's James O'Keefe, a target of political attacks again. And he's constantly having to deal with this. And it's like, this is outrageous. Why am I, James O'Keefe, sitting here dealing with more political persecution? Why am I here, James O'Keefe, dealing with more political harassment? Meanwhile, the biggest criminals in this country still walk free. And even when we expose them, nothing gets done. Like I said, James does a good job of keeping his personal stuff, his personal opinion, his personal politics. He does a pretty good job keeping that internal and just focusing on the OMG work that they do, the undercover journalism that they do. But after seeing that today live on the stream, and watching the frustration pour out of James, I get the feeling it's like those borders, those barriers are starting to come down. And I get it. I get it. It's different for me. I'm in a different line of work, but I get it. I totally get the frustration James is feeling. It's like you can't escape the political persecution no matter what. Meanwhile, the criminals that you're exposing, they escape everything. Couple wild ones here as we close out with the news of the day. This is just, I mean, you want to see what's really going on? Secret double life of Kristi Noem's cross-dressing husband, Brian, the pouting, busty bimbo photos, and trove of explicit messages. So it comes out, that's behind a paywall. DMT, where's our membership here? We were supposed to get a membership here. So, okay. I can probably find another source. You've probably seen the images by now. Apparently her husband is like gay, likes cross-dressing. He wears these like big prosthetic breasts and I don't know. The whole thing is weird. I got to say, I've met a lot of people in my life. I've never met that type of person. I've met some weird people. Okay, I've met a lot of weird people, seen a lot of weird things. That's one I can't say I've ever seen. And Kristi Noem is married. This is the former governor of South Dakota, and the former DHS head. And she was married to a closeted gay guy with a cross-dressing fetish. I'm sure that's totally fine, totally normal. No reason to suspect anything behind the scenes there. New DHS mouthpiece quits over ties to Ice Barbie's alleged lover. A newly hired MAGA spokesperson has abruptly resigned after landing on a blacklist reviewed by Stephen Miller. Katie Zachariah. Oh, wow. I'm telling you, folks, they're dropping left and right. They are dropping left and right. And then there was this whole, like, we're all going to look the other way at Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski having an affair because Noem's husband is apparently running around, in prosthetic breasts, with men. I'm telling you guys, they're dropping like flies. This administration is a disaster. This thing is a disaster. And apparently everybody knew that Noem's husband was into this crap. Guys, this administration is really bad. It's really a joke. It's really pathetic. And I think the whole falling apart is just beginning. I mean, you got Howard Lutnick is still in there. And I'm telling you, because now what's happening is it's like you can kind of have a certain level of accepting this and tolerating this and going along with this. It's like, oh, here's Kristi Noem with the everyone knows about her secret affair. Everybody knows her husband runs around in fake boobs. It's like, that's weird. It's like you probably wouldn't even want her to be your, 8th grade teacher, but she's head of DHS. It's like, what's that about? Is there's some favors happening in the back room, or, what's the deal? So you can tolerate it to an extent. It's like, okay, you're part of the generational run. You're part of the history. You're, building a resume, getting experience. You're part of this Trump White House. It's like, okay, you can kind of put up with all of that. And anybody who's worked, and I think, it's different for me. I've worked in media for most of my professional life. I think I finally, it was probably like, I worked a bunch of jobs until I was about 23, maybe. I'm just trying to think. But I think like since the age of 24, I've only done media. I've been a professional in media, paying my bills in media since I was about 24. It's usually when you first start. I started professionally in media when I was 20, but wasn't making enough money to pay all the bills, so was doing some other jobs. The point is, that's like my, that's where my experience is. That's where I've seen like all the different levels and echelons, and I understand media. I don't necessarily understand how the political world works behind the scenes, outside of what I can get, word of mouth. But what I guess my point is, it's like I've seen it in media. I've seen it in big media operations, at all different levels, all different types, where it's like, okay, you want to get your chance in media, or you want this show, or you want this radio time slot, or, you want the access to the guests, or whatever it is. So you kind of just hang around. It's like, man, I know this thing is not what I like. It's like, man, I know there's some things that are happening here I don't like, but you know what? I got my own little thing, and I'm just going to stick around. And then eventually, though, it all ends. Eventually, you say enough is enough. And so it seems like that's what's happening with this administration. It seems like the good people in this administration are finally saying, you know what? I've had enough. I've just had enough. If we were actually doing MAGA, if we were actually saving the country, if we were actually, mass deportations, all the stuff we were promised, no new wars, then they could probably stick around with the Kristi Noems and the Pam Bondis and the Howard Lutnicks and all the rest of the corruption happening with the administration. But now it looks like the good people are saying, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not going down with this ship. This administration is becoming an absolute dumpster fire. I'm out. I see this happening. It's like every day there's a new person just throwing the arms up saying, I'm done. I want nothing to do with this anymore. So you got this story in the sports world. You've got a basketball player, now a former NBA player, Jaden Ivey, who makes a, not even that controversial, but I guess you're not allowed to say anything about Gay Pride Month. But he basically makes a comment saying he doesn't like how the NBA promotes the gay pride as a Christian. He's a Christian, and he doesn't like the NBA promoting gay pride. So he gets released from the Chicago Bulls for this. Now he's getting attacked. He's getting attacked by the Chicago media, which I guess is not a surprise. But I want to show you something they're saying. Let me see if we can cue this up real quick.
Yeah, first you hope that Jaden Ivey gets the professional help.
So, he needs professional help. He needs professional help. Here's another sports head, Emmanuel Acho. He needs help. He needs mental health help, says Emmanuel Acho. Patriots player Trayvon Henderson supported Jaden Ivey as a Christian. He gets scolded by Mike Vrabel. He wants to make sure that they're educated. So Jaden Ivey makes a perfectly rational statement about how he feels about the NBA promoting gay pride. He makes a Christian-based opinion on whether or not Christians support gay pride or not. And now he's told he needs mental help. He's told he needs professional help. He's told he needs to seek this help. Anybody that steps out and supports him in the professional world, they need help. They need to get educated. Do you realize what is being said here? They're telling you as a Christian that you need help. If you actually believe in the Christian ethos and you actually believe in some of these cultural norms promoted by Christianity, you need to seek mental help. You need to seek professional help. You're a bad person. Now, I'm not like, I'm not some, this is where you kind of have this mixture of fiscal conservative social liberals. I'm not too concerned about what adults are doing in their bedroom. I really don't want to know. I don't want to hear about it. And I really don't care. And maybe there's a little bit of a generational thing there. And it gets worse with each generation as we normalize this stuff. But, you know, it's like, how can I say it? Having gay classmates in high school was not out of the ordinary, let's say. You know, growing up, I'm 36. Having gay friends in high school and beyond was not like out of the ordinary. It was like everybody had a friend, maybe a group of friends. So it's not like this is some bigoted stance. It's not like this is some bigoted person. This is just saying, hey, as a Christian, I don't promote or support the lifestyle. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not condemning anybody. I just don't support it. I don't promote it. And I don't like that the NBA forces us to do it. And somehow this becomes, you need mental help, you need professional help, and you're a bad person. How is that not a blatant attack on Christianity? But you know what? Put the religious aspect aside. How is this not a blatant rejection of biology? Hey, you know, again, you're an adult. You do what you do in your bedroom. I don't want to know. But, I mean, it is a biological fact that a man is supposed to mate with a woman. That is a biological fact. And for the most part of human biology, the opposite sex attracts the opposite sex. These are biological facts. And somehow now you're told you're a bigot if you reject these biological facts. Or no. I'm sorry. You're a bigot if you accept these biological facts. You're a bigot if you promote the Christian values. This is an attack on Christianity. And I'm watching Jaden Ivey get attacked from the left, from the right, from all these different aspects. And I'm saying, where is the Christian community here? Notice how you have these Christian Zionists. They will run through walls to get to a platform. They will climb up mountains. They will crawl across broken glass to get to a microphone and disavow anti-Semitism. Nothing can stop these Christian Zionists from talking about how to defeat anti-Semitism, and their number one thing is to defeat anti-Semitism. Now a Christian is under attack, and they're silent. Now Christianity is being persecuted, and a Christian is under attack, and none of them say anything. And the ones that do get punished. Now, they apparently, I was trying to figure this out. It's hard to tell. Apparently, Jaden Ivey's uniform sales, his jersey sales, they sold out. Now, it's hard to see if that was the truth or if the Chicago Bulls just take them off the website. I'm not sure. But you cannot get a Jaden Ivey jersey on the Chicago Bulls website. So whether that's they sold out or they took them down, maybe both. But I couldn't see it. The only Ivy jersey you can find are some old Detroit Pistons jerseys where I guess he used to play. But the point is, it's popular. And it's not even necessarily a popularity of opinion here. It's a popularity that sports fans are sick and damn tired of this leftist liberal propaganda being forced on them by these leagues. LGBTQ plus is liberal propaganda. And guess what? It's anti-Christian. And so not every player in the league is a anti-Christian liberal. Many players might be conservatives. Many players might be Christians. Some might be both. And they don't want to sit here and promote LGBTQ+. And then sports fans are just like, hey, we just don't want to see it. I'd like to be able to tune into a football game and not be told I'm racist. I'd like to be able to tune into a basketball game and not hear about butt sex. Is that too much to ask? So maybe they agree with Jaden Ivey's opinion. Maybe they don't. They're just saying, thank God somebody said it. Thank God somebody inside of the industry here is saying, hey, we're all sick of this propaganda. And then he's punished and he loses his job and he gets attacked and he's told he needs professional help and mental help. And then the Christian community goes silent. But you watch. If somebody came out like, oh, when Spike Lee had the Palestinian colors on his on his strap at the All-Star game. Oh, he was an anti-Semite. They were crawling across broken glass to scold him, and then he had to come out and apologize. But when a Christian is persecuted, no problem. No big outrage. No calls to stop all the Christian hatred and the bigotry against Christians. They just let Jaden Ivey take the fall. It's really sad, actually. What else do we have here? This is a funny one. Boy, we didn't even get to the, oh, man. All right, we'll go to the 6 o'clock here and then do some bonus time. Speaking of basketball, what did J.J. Redick just say? Listen to this. J.J. Redick, the coach of the Lakers, on an NBA telecast, throw the concept that the NBA could be rigging games with microchips in balls and rigged rims to control who scores and who doesn't. J.J. Redick. Swish. Swish from J.J. Oh, he's going to get scolded for that one. You know he's going to be scolded for that. You know, I already did the Daily Mail story. I don't know if I want to get back into it. But I'll just give an example here because I just don't get it. So Richard Spencer here, he says, this is something different than the bullet doesn't match the gun, as the Daily Mail headline reported. It's literally not. They cannot match the bullet to the gun. That is a fact. The defense stated that they believe the ATF reports included in the discovery show that the ATF was unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson, which could be essential to which witnesses they call. However, they also state they have not yet received these case files. So the bullet doesn't match the gun. That's literally what they're saying. They're saying they cannot match the bullet to the gun. That is literally what they're saying. So they say, this doesn't say that the bullet doesn't match the gun. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Can they match the bullet to the gun, yes or no? The answer is no. Like, what is this Looney Tunes world I'm living in? And I understand they're trying to, like, exist in this nuance and say, oh, no, it could still be the bullet. You're right, it could still be the bullet. It could also not be the bullet. Like, you understand that goes both ways. That assumption doesn't just go one direction, and you can say, well, they can't prove it's the bullet, but it could still be the bullet. Yeah, they can't prove it's the bullet, but it could also not be the bullet from the gun. Like, you understand that goes both ways. You understand how the law works here. Innocent till proven guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's reasonable doubt to believe that the bullet didn't come from that gun. I don't care what you believe. So this denial of the reality of this story is wild. But speaking of the autopsy, did you see this? From CanCon with the Gateway Pundit. It took Utah prosecutors 2 months to provide Charlie Kirk's autopsy report after it was completed, and more than 6 months to produce the photos of the autopsy after it was completed. Robinson's attorneys got it on March 18th. They were taken in September. This seems to be a reoccurring theme with discovery throughout this filing. Whole thing is just weird, man. And then, is this just more weirdness or what? Sheriff at center of Charlie Kirk's suspect's capture resigns. The sheriff who took the phone call that led to Charlie Kirk's suspected shooter turning himself in has resigned and announced his retirement. So now this is going to lead to people questioning if even that is real. By the way, there's no video evidence of that we've seen. If it's out there, we haven't seen it, which you'd think they'd show us, but that's odd. So did that even happen? What's up with that? Why is he resigning? And is he going to get a nice, cushy private job? Like so many other times we see stuff like this when you run an op and then you get a nice, cushy job. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. All right, you know what? I got a couple other things here. We'll have to throw them into the leftovers. Let me hit this one, though. Yeah, let me hit a couple of these. So MTG goes on the Massey Money Bomb show. Let me play this quote from MTG on the Massey Money Bomb.
Not been tested. His opponent that is literally propped up and funded by 3 Jewish billionaires. Not been tested.
Okay. So that is a fact. That is an absolute fact. The biggest donors against Massey are Jewish. That is a fact. Is anybody denying that that is a fact? Of course not, because it is a fact. So what's the response? Laura Loomer, who is really, I think Laura has almost made this decision. I think she made 2 decisions. I think one, she said she made the decision that she's going to be the biggest Trump cultist that you've ever seen. And maybe she has some other interest in Trump that she's trying to, land on. But she decided, I'm going to be the biggest Trump cultist the history of this country has ever seen. And I'm also going to become the craziest person that the media has ever seen, which is so weird because she's never been on this whole, like she always used the Jew thing as like, oh, poor me, I'm a Jew. But she never really seemed to do any of the Israel angles. And now she's all in on it. So she's just probably made this decision. She's all about the theatrics. But she says, MTG has always hated Jewish people. Wait a second. Where does she express hatred for Jews here? Where is the hatred exactly expressed? Because what she said was that Massey's opponents are getting funded by 3 Jewish billionaires. Is that not true? That is true. So again, you have to look at logic and you have to see if it applies universally. Laura Loomer will sit here and talk about Muslims all day long, and all Muslims are bad. She has outright hate and disgust for Muslims, which is tolerated in Republican politics and apparently tolerated in Western media too. So Laura Loomer can be an outright bigot towards Muslims and Islam, and that's totally acceptable. And she won't even deny that she hates these people. Much of her media career is hating Muslims. And there's money to be made in that, by the way. That's actually a real booming industry, like that's institutional. That's like an institutional industry of, hey, we hate Muslims as part of a media operation. So that's what Laura Loomer does. Marjorie Taylor Greene here points out a fact that Thomas Massey's opponent is funded by 3 Jewish billionaires, and she says somehow that's hatred for Jews, even though none was expressed, no hatred expressed. So look at it like this, and Loomer will do this too. If a Muslim person straps on a suicide bomb vest and goes and blows up an event, we're going to call that person Muslim because that is a fact. Does that mean you hate Muslims, or does that mean you're reporting facts? If a black person commits a crime, a black person gets on a train and stabs Irina Zaruska and she dies, and you say, a black person stabbed that white girl, is that because I hate black people, or is that because that's the fact? So how is it that pointing out a fact about a Jewish person or Jewish people equals hatred? How is that the case? How come you can point out a fact about a Muslim or a fact about a black person or a fact about a white person? You can point out a fact about any other person and say that person is of this skin color, descent, whatever. But the minute you say, hey, a Jewish person did that, all of a sudden it's hate. You're not allowed to do that. Explain that logic to me. That seems like a protection mechanism. And then you have cases like this where they outright lie. So this guy made a claim that he was kicked out of a restaurant because he was Jewish. And there's a Palestinian-owned restaurant in New York. And by the way, this is like that video we played yesterday. This one might be worse, though. So he claims this restaurant kicked him out for being Jewish, except it never happened.
Hey guys, I am right now in Williamsburg, and I just kicked out of this place because I'm wearing my David Star.
So this is the victim economy. So he claims he was kicked out. The restaurant has security footage 24/7, and they said, you never came in a restaurant, you never got kicked out, you're a liar. You're also Jewish. Oh, not allowed to say that. So you're a liar. You're the one that mentioned you were Jewish, though. So they shared the security footage. He never went in the restaurant. He stood outside of the restaurant. He never went in, and then he lied about it. He went on social media and lied and said he got discriminated against because he was Jewish. He lied. It never happened. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. You know, I've got another video like the one yesterday. I just don't even know if I want to show it. But it's basically the same thing. A guy walks into a Dunkin' Donuts and starts a fight and then claims he's the victim because he's Jewish. And the Dunkin' Donuts cashier won't deal with it. But how about this one? I got a couple. I'm not going to share that one. There's too much cursing. I'll share this one, though. So here is a white person. Is this a white person, guys? I can't tell. Now, watch what happens. So here's a group of Palestinian protesters. This is probably an Israeli. And he runs into this group of Palestinian protesters, and he's debating them and talking to them. Then he sees a police vehicle roll by. And all of a sudden, he starts crying out and shrieking in pain as if he's been attacked. Watch this. That's slowed down in the video. I didn't slow that down, by the way. What even is this? Now, why would a grown man even behave like that? What would motivate a grown adult man to even exhibit such outrageous, childish behavior? And yet we see this behavior exhibited time and time again. Why? Because the victim economy gives you leverage and power. And until we take that leverage and power away from these fake victims in this fake victim economy, it's only going to get worse.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, we're going into bonus time on a Tuesday. Bonus time for the Owen Report on a Tuesday. We got to do it. We got to do it to get to our super chats. Hey guys, remember, give us a follow on YouTube. The Owen Report on YouTube. Really appreciate you guys tuning in there, following there. That's how we read the super chats, by the way. The only chats we read on the show are the YouTube super chats. That's just the system we have. Deal with it. So we really appreciate everybody that watches on YouTube and gives us the super chats on YouTube. We do love everybody on Rumble, too. Don't get me wrong. Thank you to the Rumble people. But we can't read your Rumble rants, unfortunately. We can only read the YouTube super chats. That's just the system. I'd like to update it, but I don't make the technology. And then everybody that tunes in on X as well shares the video on X. We appreciate that, too. But, guys, please remember to give us a follow and a like on YouTube. The Owen Report on YouTube. Appreciate that. All right. So, to the super chats we go. As we do at the end of every show, we will read every super chat. Starting off with Cornelius Westernmost. Love your rant about boomers yesterday. I work in the cannabis industry. Can you guess which generation of customers act the most obstinate and entitled and act as though they were the first to discover weed? I could get real controversial and make some jokes right here, but we'll take your word for it instead. Iron Lunatic, only shills like Fuentes are mad about the magic bullet story. Is Fuentes really an official narrative supporter, or does he just not believe it was Israel? And then it like becomes a whole story because, you know, he's the guy that's like famous for that, I guess. I think Fuentes deserves a little more credit for his political coverage than just being the anti-Israel guy or the Jewish conspiracy guy. But I know he doesn't like the people blaming, or he doesn't like the theory of Israel getting blamed for it. But does he believe the official narrative? I don't know. I haven't dug into it enough to know exactly what Nick has to say, except that I know he doesn't like the voices that are blaming Israel. The magic bullet. Well, Charlie Kirk had Superman bones, and if you don't believe that, then, you know, something wrong with you. JM Dog. Why are they protecting the Fed slop narrative? TPUSA seems suspect. Yeah, I you know, this thing is so toxic that I've mostly just kind of restrained from talking about it. It's so toxic and there's no winning. And, you know, I get a lot of incoming on this issue specifically. I mean, you know, you've seen some of the TPUSA employees go public with their concerns. And you can think whatever you want about Erica, but, you know, her behavior, which is just being chalked up as grieving, people are curious about that, obviously. But aside from that angle, how is it that people just trust the government all of a sudden? Oh, the FBI is great now. The FBI that says Epstein killed himself, guys, they are trustworthy people now. And you need to believe that Charlie Kirk had Superman bones because that's the only way this deal makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing is weird. The security team scooped Charlie Kirk up at the exact time Decoy Zinn stood up. Only a moron wouldn't think the whole thing was rehearsed. Well, it sounds like you're landing on some other conclusion. But yeah, Zinn is another weird deal with the whole thing. George Zinn being there, and now he's in jail for cheese pizza. What's up with that? Hey, look here. You know what? This is going to be the problem. This is where I'm at. Why can't they show us a video of Robinson getting on the roof, and why can't they show us a video of Robinson taking the shot? The security tape that they have shown us of Robinson running and getting off the roof, that camera angle can see the exact spot where he took the shot. So why don't we have that video? It's a totally fair question, and it's suspicious that we don't. And I'm to the point now, maybe they can change my mind. I don't believe the official narrative. Like, maybe I believe it 0.1%, maybe 1% tops. But I'm to the point now where it's like, I don't even know if I can be convinced. And you see this joke, and the people are like, oh, even if they had the full bullet and traced it back to the gun, you guys still wouldn't believe it. Yeah. Like, again, like, what world do you live in? Did they lie about the JFK assassination? Did they lie about COVID? Did they lie about the Gulf of Tonkin? Did they lie about COVID? Did they lie about Trump? Like, what are you talking about? You get lied to all the time, and now you're saying, oh, I believe this one, which is an outrageous lie on its face? You have more access to information now in the internet age to put these lies together in real time and see that they don't add up, and now you believe it more than ever, as if you've never been lied to. The FBI has never lied about an assassination. The government has never lied about a political event to get us into war. And it's like, it's some own. It's like, no matter what, you won't trust the government. Yeah, no shit, dumbass. You're the dumbass for trusting the government, not me. And what? In 50 years, they'll declassify the Charlie Kirk file and they'll admit it was an assassination and the CIA and the FBI covered it up just like they do every other time. And the guy that they arrested for shooting him was a patsy, just like they did every other time. It's like, you guys wouldn't believe it even if they, like, yeah, of course, we don't believe liars. You're the morons that still believe liars, not us. How are we the crazy ones? Is Epstein a hoax too? Where you at on that one? Then they send out the paid narrative to all the lackeys. Seems like that's definitely going on. Something weird with that. Maybe that explains it. Maybe that explains it. Caroline wore blue Lululemons 2023. I have a pic. I don't even know what does that even mean. RDS kisses wall. Fishback did not kiss stupid wall. The last Fishback rally got a little intense. David Hull. Uncle Alex conceded today that Trump is gone. Interesting. Interesting. Who's more insufferable, Cam Higbee or Eyal Jacoby? You know what? I'm going to go with Eyal. But that's a close one, too. Actually, I don't know. Because I can feel like with Jacoby, I can at least understand his loyalty to Israel, right? I can at least understand that as a Jewish person, he has a loyalty to Israel. He has an affinity for Israel. I don't understand Cam's obsession with defending Israel. I don't believe he's Jewish, so I don't know where that comes from. I've gotten into it with both of them. I will say this, though, about Eyal or Eyal, however it's pronounced. You know, he attacked me one time and said I spread fake news, and then the story I shared ended up being true. And then he gets caught spreading fake videos all the time. But I don't even know if he runs his account. What was the most recent one? He just shared some video that ended up being years old, and he had to delete it. I don't know. They're both two peas in a pod spreading foreign propaganda. But at least with Jacoby, I get it. It's like, you know, he's tied into these Jewish groups. He's tied into Israel's interests. So it's at least I could, like, understand that, I guess. I don't understand Cam's deal. I don't know why he feels such loyalty to foreign interests. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's deception. Maybe it's a decision. I don't know. But hey, I can debate and do politics and not take things personally. So it's fine for me. Cat turd Olbermann. It's insane that the Democrats couldn't see how corrupt the Biden administration was. We are so much better than them. We are critical thinkers. MEGA. Well, you know, that's an interesting kind of case study. Because there were definitely people on the left that were critical of Biden. The difference is, and I think this is kind of a generally true statement, people on the left and liberals and Democrats, they tend to they'll you know, they'll silence themselves, they'll muzzle themselves to kind of at least have the public perception that they're all on the same page and they're all kind of going the same way. So, yeah, there weren't too many people on the left that were going to be critical of Biden. Some were. There were definitely some, but there weren't too many. They wanted to kind of go along with it. And maybe that's why some people on the right do it, because they see Democrats do it. So that makes them no better than the left, which is the great irony of it all. But no, you can see that Trump supporters are way more principled than any other group. I mean, the fact that MAGA has basically split, and it's honestly, to me, it's like 50-50. I'd say it's like 50-50, so we'll be conservative. The fact that 40% of Trump voters, 40% of Trump supporters are willing to call him out on his BS and are really upset with him, I think that shows you how these are people that are consistent and are loyal to principle and to policy and results instead of just a person. The rest of it's just a cult of personality. The rest of it's just a brainwashed cult now. So there is something to be said about the Trump supporters that are willing to stay true and consistent as far as principles and policies are concerned versus the rest of whatever's left of MAGA that are just, brainwashed cult members now. Translate speeches, and he talks about how he wanted to avoid war at all costs. Oh, I see. Translate Hitler speeches. And he talks about how he wanted to avoid war at all costs. Are you even allowed to do that? Is that even legal? Would you rather be speaking German today? Yes, I would not. I'm not a fan of the German language. I like English, actually. Solus Veer. Check with General MacArthur and Scott Ritter. Iran is winning this war and Israel is going bye-bye. Well, as I've said, I don't get too much into the on-the-ground news because I think there's so much lying, so much propaganda. It's hard to even tell what's really going on, honestly. So I just don't go there at the risk of getting something wrong and misleading you. But it does look like Israel is, I mean, they're getting hit, folks. It's not fun in Israel. It's definitely not. But Netanyahu doesn't care. IED video in Lebanon was brutal to watch, though. Well, what Israel is doing in Lebanon is so outrageous. It's unbelievable they're getting away with it. At least with what they did in Gaza, they could fall back on October 7th, which we all knew they stood down on. But at least like they had something as an excuse. They don't even have an excuse in Lebanon. It's just a bloodlust marathon for them now. It's unreal. The international community is allowing Israel to get away with this. And you got to wonder why. Is it they're all blackmailed? Is it like Epstein files? Are they on video? And Mossad has them all like raping kids or something? Is it because the U.S. steps in and says, you better not get in Israel's way or we'll attack you? It's like, how do they get away with this? And then Trump shared that video of us bombing Iran the other night. That's one of the oldest cities. It's one of the oldest civilizations on the planet, and we just wiped it off the map. Trump is disgusting. Trump is a disgusting pig. And I'd like to sit here and say, wow, this is what Wiles has done to you. This is what Adelson has done to you. This is what Netanyahu has done to you. But he did this. He's the disgusting pig. He let them do it. Sam White, Iran has never been conquered. Well, Trump said we won the war 2 weeks ago. The Mr. Smith, F'd America good again. Be a great hat and shirt. F'd America good again. FAGA. Yeah, that's what Trump is. Trump isn't MAGA. Trump is FAGA. That's what it really is. Trump is now FAGA. If Lindsey Graham is reelected, we ride at dawn. If you guys elect Lindsey Graham again, I mean, what are we doing? Your enemy is not in Russia. Captain Hard, that tells me NATO, now we aren't winning and we underestimated Iran. I don't know. I feel like we thought they were some people in flip-flops with AKs. Well, you know, maybe lesser minds believed that. But the powers that be, the people that are making these decisions, they are not that ignorant to these facts. They know Iran was a much taller task than Iraq or Afghanistan. They knew that. They did it anyway. And this is, it's all about Israel. That's what it's all about. So we have to do it. They're our greatest ally. And you need to worship them because they're Jews. And so if you don't believe this, you're an anti-Semite. Sirius XM Chill, Channel 55. That one's a little too slow for me. Satin jackets featuring Panama. Move on. Wow. Do you work for Sirius XM? I'm not the big fan of Chill, but I believe BPM is one dial down, Channel 54. I do like BPM. JB, I think it is time for us all to accept that we need to 5150 Trump and use the 25th Amendment. We are in a joke of a country right now. Much love to you, bro. Well, I don't know. I mean, if we didn't do it with Biden, how can you do it with Trump? I think impeachment's the way to go. Can I tell you something, too? In politics, it's always the domino effect, but there's always multiple potential outcomes. And I'm looking at this now, and I'm trying to, look at where the dominoes are going to fall. Say the odds are, at this point, the Democrats are going to get the House, maybe even the Senate, and they're going to impeach Trump. And depending on the numbers at that time, it could actually be successful. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what would that even look like? What if Trump wants to get impeached? Say, well, that sounds asinine. Why would he want to get impeached? Well, I don't know. Why is he doing any of the stuff he's doing? You think you can figure out what's going through Trump's head? Maybe Trump wants to get impeached. And imagine a situation. It would be the most watched event, maybe in political history. The impeachment trial of Trump. And then he's on the stand with hundreds of millions of people watching, and this is all about him. You know, he can't do anything that's not about him now. Maybe he wants to get impeached. Maybe he wants the impeachment trials where he can actually sit down and talk to hundreds of millions of people at once. He knows he'll have more eyes and ears on him in that time more than any other time ever. Maybe he wants it. Maybe he wants it for the Trump TV show. Maybe he wants it because he's going to get more attention. It seems like it's all about attention for him now. And he's leaning in and he's feeling it. He loves it. It's all about Trump TV 24/7. Trump, 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 Trump. He can't get enough of himself. He needs mirrors installed in every wall and every room. Maybe Trump wants to get impeached. And then, I don't know, maybe he sits up there and he says, yeah, well, you know, here's who told me to do this. Here's who told me to do that. Here's who told me to do this. Here's who lied to me about that. Here's who lied to me about that. Here's who bombed the kids. Here's who bombed the boats. And then he just lays it all out. And he's like, well, okay, you impeached me. Here's all the criminals that need to be arrested. Here's all the criminals that co-conspired with me. Okay. Boldly go. Trump is mentally ill, a schizophrenic flip-flopper. I wonder, though. I'm not so sure. I think I don't even think it's that serious. I think he just doesn't I think he just goes up there and just talks. I think he just goes up there and just makes stuff up. I don't think it's a mental illness. I don't think it's a flip-flopper. Now, there might be some mental illness like he thinks he's Messiah. He thinks he's like God. But I don't think it's like schizophrenia or dementia or anything. I think he just goes up there and he just makes stuff up. It's just a TV show. It's just a reality TV. He just makes it up. Meloni, Italian, not French. Attention to detail. Oh, I knew that. Give me a break. Everybody knows that. Come on. Trump's ego won't let him admit he was wrong. Well, that comes right out of the Roy Cohn mindset. If you know, you know. Anyone see a rise in boomer Trump 2028 hats? Like Jose Montenegro, Article 55. They're getting louder. They're happening. Macron never seen a foreigner he didn't want to entangle. Brigitte Macron is not a foreigner, though. That's a Frenchie. It's a teacher. UF threatens to cancel Fishback rally tonight. Oh, the Gators are going to cancel Fishback. Well, the more he gets canceled, the bigger he gets. So, you know, take your measurements. RTBT. Both parties seem to be owned by a tiny hat club. No matter who we vote for, the rabbis will come and tell them what to do. It's sad, but it seems true. Well, there's no doubt there's influence from both sides here. But, you know, the one contention I have with this argument, and I get pushback, but, you know, there are liberal Jews. In fact, most American Jews vote Democrat. Have you ever seen a liberal Jew and a conservative Jew debate? I mean, it's not like, again, there's this idea that all Jews think the same. There's this idea that all black people think the same. It's just like, no, people think differently. That's the propaganda. The propaganda is to make you think that all black people have to or do think the same. It's the same thing with Jews. No, there's plenty of liberal Jews, conservative Jews, religious Jews, non-religious Jews. But yeah, they have a lot of influence politically on both sides. That is true. Skeezix? Everyone who is COVID jabbed equals delusional. Are they 5G mind controlled? Seems like only the unvaccinated have rational conversation. Clown world. There may be something there. But I looked into some of the people that seem completely out of their minds to me, and they didn't take a vaccine. So I don't know. So two things could be true. Maybe, you know, there's some brain damage from the vaccines, but also I don't think that every person that seems to have lost their mind today is vaccinated. Abdullah Siraj. First it was Ben Shapipi. Now it's Micro Mark Levin. Tiny hats. Tiny. Shirley Maldo. Justice is truth. Thank you, Shirley. Owen Schroyer's wifey finally weighing in. I know how to get rid of that frustration together. Oh. I told you, I'm not playing pickleball. I'm not doing it. You're driving me to double down on my drinking, Owen. No, don't drink. How can you even drink? If you're young, it's like, okay, I get it. I was in my 20s. I was a young person where you can drink and, not have a hangover at all, or you can drink all night and get up the next day and get up and at 'em. I don't drink anymore. I just don't like it. I don't like being drunk. I don't like what alcohol does to me. Aside from the negative health. But like if I let's say I go to dinner, even if I just had like a couple drinks or like got a bottle of wine at dinner, like I would be slow the next day. It would be a struggle. So I just don't even like it. I think I can tell you like the last 3 times I've drank the last year. So I hope this should not drive you to drink. And it's not, you need to be drinking water. Okay. Kai Bucky, do you think the market dump coming after 2 days pump? Well, it's been nothing but a dump. I think today was the first day we saw any pump. Let me get a quick look-see here. Oh, I'm not going to comment on that real quick. Today was the first pump I've seen in a while. We definitely got a pump today. It was, not the biggest pump ever. Couple points. Maybe they're going to pump till Friday, and then Trump's going to do something crazy in Iran, and then you'll see a dump. But Trump tried to pump Monday, and it didn't work. And that normally works. Trump's attempts to pump usually work. It didn't work Monday, which tells me the markets have lost faith in Trump and the efficacy of this war. But maybe now they're pumping to Friday, anticipating Trump does something over the weekend that's going to be even bigger in the market dump next week. JM Dog, did you see Mark Cuban on the Marian Adelson show with the Mavs? No. What are we talking about? Marian Adelson has a show? Are you just talking about because they owned the Mavericks? I don't know. I don't know about that. JV Free, Noam is not deep state. She's deep throat state. What the hell is going on with these people, man? Can't we just get normal people in there? How many yags actually follow sports? Yags? I don't know. Shirley Maldo, the prerequisite for justice is truth. Getting harder and harder to find these days. No LeChucky Guardian. Longtime lurker. Trump lost me on the vaccine. Dead father, stepfather, ex-husband, cousin. Wow. Lockdowns and the way he left J6 folks to rot. Now, I've never been so glad I didn't vote. Love your new show. Well, at least he pardoned the J6ers. So we can at least give him credit for that. And I don't know what he can really do when he wasn't president. Could have funded our legal campaigns. But okay. Wow. That's brutal with the vax there. And that was our let it slide. We looked at Trump with the vaccines and the lockdowns and the permanent economic damage that he did. And believe me, that was Trump. The Biden economy was that's probably the one time where you could maybe blame Trump, because Trump is the one that enacted all the COVID era financial policy that was mostly fraud that Biden inherited. So Trump destroyed the economy with COVID in his first go around. That was permanent damage. Trump did that, by the way. Trump did that. But to us, that was like, okay, that was his black eye. It's like, all right. It's like, well, he's still our guy. He's still our best option. All right, give him a second chance. He's blown the second chance. Hey, fool me once, shame on you. All right, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not being fooled twice. I'm not going to be fooled twice by this orange chode. He sold us out. He's screwing us hard. You just brought your Ivy jersey. Which one did you buy? Did you buy the Pistons one? I couldn't find a Bulls one. I guess you could do a custom-made one. Yeah, I can't believe Mike Vrabel throws his player under the bus like that. That is soft. That is soft. It's very gay. Parents forced to explain the rainbow flag to kids. Parents forced to explain the rainbow flag to kids. Yeah, that's what they do. Shovelhead Sini. Remember when you used to give Californians crap like you voted for this? You're now Californian. Welcome to our world. Corrupt and broken. That's a bit of a reach. Can you clarify that you didn't marry DMT? You're off of your meds. I'm gonna have to take. You need to get spanked. You're out of control. I think he saw someone looking at a tunnel entrance. Arms look spectacular today. All right, no spanking. You're back. You're in good graces again. You can have dinner. No one can explain why CK crime scene covered up. Oh, yeah, don't talk about that, though. Conspiracy theorist. It's like, no, that happened. That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't even know. Who was that somebody said they're insinuating that the crime scene was covered up? It's like, they literally covered up the crime scene, bro. It's like, do you not know that? Like, how are you going to sit here and talk about the Charlie Kirk assassination like you're going to do an in-depth debate, and you don't even do basic in-depth research? Have you seen the episode with Michael Lester on Sean Ryan discussing the Scofield Bible and it being doctrine for Christian Zionists? Thoughts on that? Yeah, I've looked into the Scofield Bible. I'm not going to claim to be the expert. So it's a hard thing for me to comment on. But yeah, it looks like certain interests got in there and changed the Bible for their own benefits, just like they do with the history textbooks. So it's basically the same thing. The Bible is a historical document, so they get in there, they manipulate it for their own interest. You go to school, you have a history textbook, and it's manipulated for interest. Jordan Walker, I need a wingman, Owen. Help a brother out. Well, if you're ever in Austin, I can definitely help you out. I don't know if I'm really a wingman, though. You know what I'm saying? You'd be the wingman in this scenario, but you'd be okay. Bobby Lips, I was really disappointed in Bill Maher real time last Friday. Great take covering that, challenging you to lead the way, growing the independent movement. Please help retire the two-party mudslinging. Something's going to change. Something's going to change in the political system really soon. It's just, it's too overwhelming. People are too disenfranchised. It's too corrupt. And Trump is kind of like, in a way, it's like after Trump now, I don't know where we go from here. It's like you might get a normal election for a Democrat, but the Republicans, the right is going to have so much, there's going to be so much character searching. There's going to be so much internalizing what we just went through with Trump. It's going to have to take total reform for the Republicans to ever win an election again. But the powers that be don't want that reform. So I don't know. So then does the Republican Party go defunct? Completing Greater Israel project for last. Well, that might be what Q says, saving Israel for last. But no, Trump is putting it first. Smiles, YouTube will not allow me to super chat my idea on how to protest Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Well, you know what? They're probably doing you a favor. Plans for April Fools. That's tomorrow. No, but thanks for reminding me. Andino. Do you feel like Israel is trying to isolate America? No one wants to fight for Israel except Trump. Could the U.S. handle 2 more years? I think Israel knows their time is up living off of the American taxpayer, and so I think that's why they're going for broke now. Israel knows that it's kind of like imagine America is Israel's blood bag, and they're almost out of our blood. And so they know that there's only so much American blood left in this blood bag, keeping them thriving. So they have to accomplish as much as they can before they move into the new host, is kind of how I see it. And so they're rushing these wars. They're rushing the Greater Israel Project. They forced Trump into this war. They're bombing and killing nonstop. And Netanyahu at the front of it. And Trump there, giving him all the sustenance he needs to accomplish it. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the rest of the planet is just sickened by it. Yags equals gays, not really sport ballers. Oh, yeah, okay, well, that makes more sense. Yeah, probably not really, not many. And that's what they think. It's like they think, oh, if we market to the gays, more of them will watch. It's like, no, you're alienating more people than you're bringing people in. But this is how the corporate world has ruined sports. See? That's how that goes. Now they suck. And in fact, the MLB just moved up. I don't know how they do all these analytics, but they just the top 4 popular sports leagues for some time, for some years, it had been the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, and the NHL. Now, as of this week, it is the NFL and now the MLB. The MLB has just topped the NBA. I think that has more to do with the product of the NBA being an absolute disaster, more so than whatever's going on in baseball. But that shows you how bad the NBA has fallen off. And the NHL might even, if the NBA continues down this path, the NHL could even come up and eclipse it. But those guys make so much money. That's how they control you. It's like, hey, you're going to do a bunch of things you don't want to do, but that's what it costs to make, $20 million a year playing basketball. And so what are you going to do? They're going to just go along with it. My bad. Chat thinks DMT runs my account. Well, I can confirm that is not true, chat. I can confirm that. All right, guys, there it is. Last show of the month, 6 months in. Guys, we are 6 months into the Owen Report. How about a thank you? How about a thank you? And I genuinely mean that because after 6 months, we've reached many of our goals for the Owen Report. We wanted to have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are up over 50,000. We wanted to be averaging 1 million views per month. We're way over that. Way over that. So really thankful, really appreciative that we've been able to do this after 6 months. The next milestones are a year from now, but who knows? Maybe we can launch forward with some of the other things we want to do after 12 months, a little before then. But it's all thanks to the audience. I appreciate that. And the super chatters. One more before we sign off. Towards the Golden Dome to protect the Golden Mic. Well, maybe I need a Golden Dome here. So there you go. 6 months of the Owen Report in the books. Thanks to everybody for following along, supporting the show, tuning in. We love you. We all have fun together talking politics, covering news, and paying our taxes. Have you paid your taxes yet? All right. 21-hour break. God bless. Godspeed. See you tomorrow.